Yeah, check 1 2. X check 1 2 1 2. X check on audio 1 2 1 2.
And what's his position again?
Hold on. X check 1 2 1 2. X looking good. Audio, excellent. 1 2 1 2. All right, guys. Coming up at 6 minutes after, in about approximately 3 minutes, Justin Davis, Director of Public Affairs for the National Rifle Association, will be here for the first half of the hour. Attorney Joey Hamby, self-defense attorney, talking about a successful case out in Prescott, Arizona. You're not going to want to miss either one of these. And then hour two, a solid hour with Jared Yanis from Guns and Gadgets, followed by a classic roundtable. Going to be a classic show today. Hope you get ready to enjoy it. We'll see you here in about 2.5, 3 minutes. Enjoy it. We'll see you here in about 2.5, 3 minutes. Enjoy it. Okay, yeah, that loop comes back through my mic. He's the Director of Public Affairs for the NRA.
Yeah, I grabbed that when you were telling the chat.
He's also a big fan of the show. He listens to the program, too. He's excited about coming on tonight. $300 viewers already to start. That NRA post is huge.
This is Armed American Radio.
If they want to take my guns, they're going to have to bring a station wagon and a whole lot of friends, because I'm not giving them anything.
From the Kahr Firearms Group studio at the Patriot Mobile Communication Center. Proudly presented to you by the National Rifle Association. National Rifle Association. Here is your host of Armed American Radio, the loudest conservative voice in America fighting for your rights, Mark Walters.
Here we go, guys. My favorite day of the week, Armed American Radio's Monster Cast, being heard on hundreds of radio stations across the nation, begins right now. This is how we start our week. I love it. Every single moment of it being brought to you by the National Rifle Association here in the Kahr Firearms Group studios. Mark Walters in front of this powerful CZ microphone here at the Patriot Mobile Ranch. Greg in Dallas, Texas, how you doing? Thanks for the crappy weather.
You're welcome, and I'm doing much better now that it's in your neck of the woods and not mine.
I don't doubt it. Well, listen, we're live on Facebook right now. I'm just gonna thank you for it, because we talked about that Friday, guys.
Yeah, we did.
I think we officially ushered in fall today with that weather here.
I agree.
So it is what it is, because guess what? Well, it's fall, and that's what happens every single year, guys. Oh, and by the way, for all you climate alarmists, it is going to snow coming up in the wintertime. I'm letting you know that. And then in the spring, it's going to get warmer. In the summer, it's going to get hot. That kind of stuff just happens. Facebook.com/Armed American Radio. You can watch us over there. You can listen to us over there, whatever you choose to do. It's up to you. You're a free man, woman. Greg, I'll let you give the rest of the info out, including the chat, and then we'll get started. We've got Justin Davis, the Director of Public Affairs for the National Rifle Association, for the top half of this hour. And the bottom half of the hour, self-defense attorney Joey Hamby, going to be a fantastic program. Hour two, Jared Yanis for the entire hour from Guns and Gadgets. We've got a lot of really controversial things to talk about there, and a classic roundtable. Go ahead, Greg.
Yeah, sure. Other places to watch the show are going to be YouTube and Rumble. Just do a search for Armed American Radio with Mark Walters. Over on X, we're at AAR Mark. You can head on over to armedamericanradio.org or .com, hit that menu icon, then select your watch live or listen live option. And lastly, to join our live chat, just download Telegram, create your profile, and search for Armed American Radio Conversations.
Boom. That'll do it. Justin Davis serves as the Director of Public Affairs for the National Rifle Association, where he champions Second Amendment rights and advances the organization's advocacy efforts nationwide. A native Mainer with deep roots in New England politics. We'll talk a little bit about that. Justin previously held prominent roles in the Republican Party, including positions with the Republican National Committee, the Maine GOP, and congressional offices where he honed his expertise in grassroots mobilization and public policy. A dedicated father, an outdoors enthusiast, he remains committed to promoting firearm safety education, such as the NRA's Eddie Eagle gun safe and hunter education programs, to ensure future generations have access to and enjoy their Second Amendment rights. His work underscores a steadfast belief in empowering Americans to exercise their constitutional freedoms without compromise. And I think it's safe to say Justin is also a fan and listener of Armed American Radio. Justin, welcome, brother. How are you today? Great to have you here.
Thanks, Mark. It's great to be here. Big fan of what you do, and happy to be here to talk all things 2A. It's a very busy time of year, as always. So
it
happy
is.
To be here.
Well, thank you for being here. I appreciate it very much. Look, I want to start with you with Virginia and New Jersey. So let's take Virginia. You guys are up on Waples Mill Road in Northern Virginia, an area that, I mean, I've been trying to put this together for years. I know Virginia well, graduated from Radford University, used to live in Midlothian and Richmond, Herndon, Reston, Virginia Beach. My sister still lives up there in that blue part of the state. So I get Virginia well, I thought. Do I really get Virginia, Justin? What in the world gives?
I think you do, Mark. So I've been traveling around. We have a robust grassroots team that's been knocking doors, making phone calls at gun stores throughout Virginia. And had some great gun shows. I was just down in Ashland at the Green Top Expo. It was nice to get out of Northern Virginia and talk to some real great Americans down there about their Second Amendment rights. And I tell you what, gun owners are fired up to vote in this election, as they should be. It should be no surprise. The Bloomberg groups, the gun control groups, this is a referendum for them to come back. We've done a fantastic job driving them back. But if you don't think they're regrouping and getting ready for a massive investment to attack your rights, you're wrong. So if you have not voted yet, early voting is going on. Make sure you're getting to the polls. I always say, if you don't want to waste a hunting day, if you don't want to waste a day at the range, vote early, get it out of the way. You never know what's going to happen.
Yeah, you're right about that. I gotta ask you this. Spanberger, though, how could she possibly? The last polls I saw had her up as high as 9 points. Sears is clearly the pro-gun candidate in this race, Justin. And I'd like to know if every gun owner gets out. It's my personal belief that if every single gun owner in Virginia votes in this election, that has to happen. Spanberger doesn't stand a chance. How confident are you that we're going to be able to make that happen? And I want to talk a little, guys. If you're in Virginia, I hope you're paying attention to this. Okay, please, it is imperative that you vote. How comfortable are you feeling? How is the NRA feeling about it?
I think we're seeing a lot of momentum surge for Winsome here in these final weeks. Obviously, given the Jay Jones scandal that we've seen and Spanberger's inability or disinterest in condemning and telling her running mate to get off the ticket after his horrific comments he made, I think has really resonated with a lot of voters outside of the gun community as well to say, is this person fit for office? I think that answer is obviously no. To get back to your point about gun owners getting out to vote, absolutely. I mean, we have to get out to vote. I know people feel comfortable right now. One of the biggest concerns I have is complacency because things have gotten so good. And trust me, I'm from New England. I can tell you it can turn on a dime. And back in my home state of Maine, a proud hunting state, people come from all over the world to hunt in Maine, buy firearms, and enjoy the great outdoors. What you're seeing in these urban centers with these blue communities that are really progressive, really anti-gun, it's spreading quickly. They've got a lot of money to spend. It must be nice to be bankrolled by a billionaire like Mike Bloomberg. We have to focus on grassroots, talking to our friends, talking to our buddies that are in gun clubs, talking to our friends at churches, getting out there to vote because everything is on the line in these elections.
Yeah, and we're talking $35 a year, guys. Here comes the plug, okay? Because you have to join the National Rifle Association. We've talked about this for years and years. This is a brand new outfit, Justin. I am so thrilled to see the direction the NRA is taking here. I really, truly am, working hand in hand in conjunction with other groups across the country, in states, and of course we'll focus right now on Virginia with this huge election. But it has never been more important to be a member of the NRA than it is right now today. And a lot of that, complacency kicks in, right? Trump's in office. It's not, we don't have a threat, my guns are safe, all this kind of stuff. But this is when we have to put our foot on the gas, right? And I mean, just drive this beast home.
You're absolutely right. And I can tell you right now, I have friends. I've been in the political scene for a long time. I have friends on both sides of the aisle. I mean, you look at what the progressives have tried to pass in Virginia, and thank God for Glenn Youngkin wielding his veto pen to protect us from just a whole host of the most extreme gun control you can possibly find. If we don't have a pro-gun governor, and if you don't vote for your pro-gun candidates down the ticket, those are going right back to the desk, and I can tell you they're going to get signed, and we're going to be in big trouble. So, I know things are going well now, but like I said, they can turn on a dime. Get out to vote. Get your friends out to vote. It's the most important thing you can do.
You care to make a prediction on this? It's a tough question.
I'm not in the prediction game. I can predict that the NRA is going to work every single day and night to drive out as many gun owners as we can. And we're going to do our part to make sure that we have the gun vote out to the polls in November.
Boy, I tell you, we're going to do the same thing here. Let's switch gears with the remaining minute and a half we have here in this segment to New Jersey. New Jersey's a funky state here. New Jersey could flip the governor's mansion red. After 8 long years, there's been a lot of pro-gun momentum in individual cities or individual counties and cities throughout the state, CCW permit-wise, relaxing fees, etc. Has New Jersey had enough of the leftist nonsense? Is it possible we could see a Republican governor in New Jersey?
I think it's absolutely possible. I mean, I think you're seeing that pendulum swinging back after years of soft on crime policies. And I mean, don't forget, a lot of these people, they live right next to New York City. They live in a place where they're seeing just how extreme things can go. I think a lot of normal Americans, moderate folks, are waking up and saying, wow, this is getting out of control. These soft on crime policies don't work. I need to keep my family safe, and I have to make sure that we're protected. So I think you're seeing a lot more people take their fate in their own hands and make sure that they're voting for people who are pro-liberty, pro-safety, and pro-American values.
Yeah, the two biggest off-year elections coming up, ladies and gentlemen. The left is going to try to make this a referendum on Trump, et cetera. And let's be honest here. I know the other side, because of the TDS that's out there, the Trump hatred that's out there, the left is going to be motivated to vote. The key to stemming that, ladies and gentlemen, is you getting out to the polls, you joining the NRA, working with us, knocking on doors with these last couple weeks that we have left, getting involved, making phone calls, doing whatever it is you have to do to put Winsome Sears, particularly in Virginia, and to get a Republican in the governor's mansion in New Jersey. It absolutely has to happen. And guys, I'm here to tell you as we go to the break, if every single one of you as gun owners votes, they cannot defeat us. They cannot. But it is critical that you get to the polls and take someone with you. Take as many people as you can to the polls. Bring your family. Bring your friends. Bring your colleagues. Do whatever you have to do to make this election work for gun owners, because the other side is going to go nuts if they pull this off, and they're going to claim it's a referendum on Trump, and so will the media. When we come back, we'll get into some court cases and some other fun stuff with Justin Davis, Director of Public Affairs of the National Rifle Association. Back right after this. To those of you guys who might be new to the live stream, this is not a podcast. This is, in fact, a live national radio show being carried on hundreds of terrestrial radio stations across the nation. So if you're watching the stream, we take the 4-minute breaks. We have breaks at 17 to 21 after, 30 to 34, 44 to 48, and then close out at about 56:50 at the top of the hour. Another 6-7 minutes for the news, weather, sports on all the radio stations. So stick with us through the breaks. We've got a lot of work to do behind the scenes, but we'll be back with you shortly. We'll see if we can get you some sausage up during the breaks like we do from time to time. We appreciate all you new viewers. If you are not a subscriber to the Armed American Radio podcast, change that. Visit Armed American Radio on your favorite podcast platform and join the thousands and thousands and thousands of listeners so you never miss a live show. And for those of you who might be new, I see a lot of you, particularly on X right now, that are tuned in right now. 4 to 5 p.m. Eastern Time, 1 to 3 Pacific, every single day, Monday through Friday, for Armed American Radio's Daily Defense. And, of course, this Monster Cast show every Sunday from 8 to 11 p.m. Sadly, we have to be FCC-friendly because of the controlled airwaves, but sometimes we let it slip during the breaks because, well, that's not FCC-controlled, only when we're on the FCC airwaves. So stick with us. We'll be back at 21 minutes after the hour. See you in just a few. So this is for the benefit of Ryan Petty, Parkland dad, who will be on the roundtable here coming up. Well, Ryan, what am I up to? The radio broadcast. Am I busy? A little bit, yes. It's just letting you know that he's texting me now, asking me what I'm up to and whether or not I'm busy. So he does that intentionally. Yes, Ryan, throwing me for a loop and make me choke on my sugar-free Red Bull. Guys, we'll be back in about 2 minutes. Studio temps are tough to figure at this time of year, Greg.
Yep. We're back in 15.
10-4. For those of you newbies out there, that is Greg Lindemuth, our producer at the Salem Radio Network in Dallas at the headquarters. Thank you, Greg, for everything that you do. I know you're looking forward to a week off coming up, starting after the show today.
Yeah, I'm celebrating another lap around the sun.
There you go. We all do. The following segment of Armed American Radio is proudly being brought to you by the National Rifle Association. Help us defend freedom by visiting nra.org/AAR and join today. Welcome back to the show. Yeah, guys, perfect timing for that rejoin with the National Rifle Association. If you are not a member, you're doing yourself and all gun owners across the country a disservice. Please join us at the National Rifle Association. It has never been as important as it is right now. We've got our foot on the gas. Let's keep it that way, okay? And we make it really simple for you. NRA.org/AAR, NRA.org/AAR is going to save you $10 on an annual membership, knocks it down to $35, guys. That's it, $35 for 1 year. Won't you please join us or rejoin us? And we're going to send you a range bag, a free range bag, if you sign up or rejoin, new or rejoin, for 1 year or 3 year. If you go 5 year or life, we're going to send you a pair of 10x42 binoculars with the lens covers and the case, so you get some cool free swag out of the deal. We make it worth your while. And guess what? You get to be in the driver's seat with us as we continue to do our level best to bury the anti-gun left in this country, because, as Ryan Petty says, they will never stop. Join us, please. We make it simple to do, and we send you cool free stuff to do it. NRA.org/AAR. Speaking of that, let's go back to Justin Davis, Director of Public Affairs with the National Rifle Association. Justin, welcome back. I told you to buckle in. It was going to fly right by. One more segment with you. It always does, brother. You know, because
Fantastic.
you listen. Moves right along. Court cases. NRA is spearheading the case in California against Gavin Newsom and the whole Glock deal. and HB 1127 out there, as you know. And it was great to see the NRA take the lead with that, with some others that are signing on to that lawsuit as well. How do you feel about that, number one? And let's talk briefly about Glock recently deciding what they're going to do. Was this politically timed? Do you have any idea? I don't. I don't know that we'll ever know. I think Glock has made the statement on their website, but the timing of it seems very unusual to me.
Yeah, I don't have any inside knowledge about the decision over at Glock. I do know, however, that you're absolutely right about our take on California. I mean, thank God we're led by Joe Greenlee over on our legal team. He is an absolute monster when it comes to the legal field and leading the charge throughout the country. And I think you've seen an explosion across America and really waking up a lot of people when they came and said, we're going to ban all the Glocks in California. I mean, Gavin Newsom just said today that he's very much thinking about running for president. I think we all know he's running for president.
Pretty much.
And he is going to come for your gun-grabbing Gavin is coming for your guns, and he's coming for the White House. And I think when you go for a large-scale ban, like a widespread ban on Glocks, I mean, they have 40% market share of the handgun community in America. I mean, there's not many people who own firearms who don't have some form of Glock. And I think it's a great way to wake people up to realize that they're not going to stop at anything. They're going to come for every single firearm they can. I mean, even Chris Murphy's now saying we're going to go after high-powered rifles, which means bolt-action rifles. So they're coming for everything they can. And like you said before, that's why we're here driving them back at every turn. And it's why it's so important to join your membership. For a cup of coffee a month, you can be part of the team making sure we're protecting your rights. Yeah,
you better believe it. I got to tell you, you hail from New England. You know the area well. I spent time in Connecticut, graduated Simsbury High School back in the day. I know that area well. And what a change I've seen up in New England. Back when I was a kid, Justin, you could shoot and plink, and we did it all the time in our backyards, 22s, etc. Never had a problem. I think if that were today, my parents would probably still be in prison if it were today. So we've seen a massive shift in New England, and you've been fighting the battle up there for a long time. New England's kind of funny. So if you take New England really from, I'll just take it from Connecticut, Massachusetts up, the fight is nonstop up there. Massachusetts been fighting like crazy. Connecticut fighting like crazy. Murphy from Connecticut. Blumenthal from Connecticut. You guys always got political battles. You got a weird one up there in Maine with Collins. So there's always something weird going on. What are we looking at up there right now?
Yeah, you're 100% right. So it runs the full spectrum, right? You have everything from Massachusetts, which is effectively looking to just eviscerate the Second Amendment. And thank God we have guys like Jim Wallace up there from Gun Owners Action League who are fighting day in, day out, and his team. To places like New Hampshire, right? The Live Free or Die state that's really expanded to your rights. And so it's funny that, as a lobbyist bouncing back and forth between those states, but it really gives you the full view on kind of where the gun control policy debate is right now. And in Maine, I mean, we're battling a horrific radical red flag referendum up there that's in a dead heat. I mean, the gun control groups have outspent pro-gun groups 10-1, and they're still down by 2 points. And I got some calls today that Bloomberg groups and these Everytown groups and Giffords are airdropping in more money for these final weeks to try to make up some ground, but it just goes to show they have a blank check. Yeah. And so it's so important to make sure you're banding together with your fellow gun owners and supporting the NRA, supporting local groups, and getting out there and making your voice heard.
Yeah, it's interesting because Maine has this weird, I will refer to it as a yellow flag, right? And the difference between the red flag and the yellow flag and what the left is trying to do up there right now, and as you said, it's neck and neck right now, is expand those who can make the accusation against someone to take their guns. Right now, it has to be adjudicated by a mental health professional, etc. At least there's some due process in there, as much as you can get in a red flag, which throws due process out the window anyway. But the red flag that they want to do, they want to expand it in Maine right now. You said that's neck and neck. What do Mainers think about that right now? Because that is a huge battle right now.
You're absolutely right. And so the interesting thing is rarely in today's political times do we see where Republicans and Democrats and independents are all on the same side, right? Like the actual political figures. And from Janet Mills to Paula Page and everybody in between, anyone who's in the public arena is saying this is bad for Maine. And even law enforcement officers, the Maine State Police gave a great testimony about how dangerous it would be for law enforcement officers. The Fraternal Order of Police weighed in and said they oppose it. I mean, this is everybody who can is telling you not to vote for this. But at the end of the day, as we've seen, money talks in these elections, and they have a blank check to do what they can. So it gets back to the point of just having those conversations, letting people know about how dangerous these red flag laws are. I mean, this is another step towards becoming Massachusetts. I mean, if you want Massachusetts gun control in Maine, then yeah, you should vote for this. If you respect your personal liberties and you respect your gun rights and you want to put a stop to this progressive buying of your policies in Maine, you got to vote no.
Gun owners, do you hear this? It's entirely up to you. There's a ton of you in Maine. Get out and vote. Let's stay with the states briefly for a second. I want to try to get as much as I can. I know we're going to hear the music soon. Any chance North Carolina, the vote has been pushed off to late in November now. Are we going to see North Carolina, do you think, does the NRA believe that we've got enough votes to override the governor's veto on the constitutional carry to make North Carolina number 30?
Once again, I'm not in the prediction business, but I know we have a great state lobbyist down there who's working with all our groups and pro-gun lawmakers down there. I know it's been a tough battle down that way, and I know they're working it hard.
And assault weapons ban case, golly, we all read Kavanaugh's statements. We've got to get one in front of the Supreme Court. We get it to the court, we're going to win it, but we're confident in that. And I know Gottlieb at Second Amendment Foundation has said the same thing. Are you optimistic we might get one in this term? If not this term, at least next term?
I'm certainly hopeful. I mean, I think we have a great slate of cases that we want before the Supreme Court. I know we have several that we're looking to get up there. I think we're finally seeing the Supreme Court look at these cases and say, let's take a good hard look at this. I think when people read Kavanaugh's statement, they said, all right, let's get in the good one. Let's finally put a nail in this coffin. And I know Greenlee and his friends are all pushing it hard.
Yeah, and Joseph's really good. You got a good one, and Joseph Greenlee's been on the show. Justin, you know how it goes. Time just got the best of us. Thank you, brother, for being here. Promise this is not going to be your only appearance, I hope.
I'll be here anytime you want. I'm a phone call away, Mark.
You better believe it. Justin Davis, Director of Public Affairs, National Rifle Association. Back after this with Joey Hamby, Attorneys on Retainer. Don't go away. Ladies and gentlemen, coming up next, Joey Hamby from Attorneys on Retainer. You will not believe this case out of Prescott, Arizona. And Joey's going to tell us all about it. And you're going to learn some valuable lessons here. There's a lot to take away from it, but I'll just give you a brief synopsis of what we're going to talk about here, at least for a good portion of the half hour. And that is an individual who was charged with brandishing. He had a couple felonies on him in Arizona after he was attacked. And it turns out the individual that attacked him, fairly high standing in the community with the fire department, et cetera. And, well, lo and behold, after Attorneys on Retainer got involved and they started looking at this from the self-defense aspect that they should have all along, by the way, the case forced him to move back to New Jersey from Arizona. He doesn't even want to go back at this point. We'll tell you how it was adjudicated as we know now, and he'll tell you the steps that they went through to do it. But, guys, it cost him a fortune, man, to do this, and we're just very thankful that AOR stepped in to put an end to this. The self-defense attorneys are always really fun to talk to. Joey Hamby will be here in just a few minutes with us. And we'll be back for you live at 34 after the hour.
it's Andy Hoosier, the voice of reason on KQAM, Wichita's Big Talker, and you're tuned into the Armed American Radio Network. Now let's get back to the man himself, Mark Walters.
Yeah, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Armed American Radio's Monster Cast continues here on hundreds of radio stations around the nation. It's great to be here with you here in the, and I love this because it's just so much fun. We're in the Kahr Firearms Group studios today. CZ Mike is fired up for you. National Rifle Association presenting everything. And we're here at the Patriot Mobile Ranch. And you can find Patriot Mobile and all of our great partners, including everyone that we just mentioned, at armedamericanradio.com. And I would hope that you would please support them. They have kept us on the airwaves now 17 years. April 26th is our 17th anniversary. April 27th begins our 18th year on the nation's airwaves. And we have never one time missed a Sunday show in all of those 17 years. So that's a remarkable run. 2025 just hit the Talkers Heavy 100, most important talk radio hosts and shows in America. That's an honor. It left me speechless. Just thrilled to be here with you, and hope you enjoy the program every single day as much as we enjoy bringing it to you. Incredibly informative. Guys, some of my favorite guests to bring on the program are always the self-defense attorneys. And there's a reason for that, because I used a firearm to defend myself back in 2002, and thankfully I became one of the 95% that did not have to squeeze the trigger, thankfully. But I would have. A program like Attorneys on Retainer did not exist back then, but it does today. And I'm a card-carrying member, and you should be too. We'll talk about that coming up. But it's always fun to have the self-defense attorneys on. Wait till you hear about this case we're going to talk about now with Joey Hamby. Joey, welcome in, brother. So good to have you here. How you doing, my friend?
Mark, I'm doing great this evening. Thank you so much for having me on. And before we talk about this case out of Prescott, I just want to tell your listeners that I'm so thrilled to be here with one of the great champions of our rights and freedoms, and also a pretty smart guy who did a tremendous job here just recently at the Second Amendment Foundation Gun Rights Policy Conference. And if you haven't seen Mark before, you wouldn't see him there either. He never sat still. He ran for 3 days straight. I think he lost 10 pounds running that three-ring circus, but it was a great time.
It was a three-ring circus, and it was 7 pounds to be exact. But thank you for the compliments. I do appreciate it. That was a great conference. And guys, since Joey mentioned this, I do want to point out that the Second Amendment Foundation put up on their Twitter feed at 2AFDN. Make sure to check this out. I've retweeted it. You can check my feed at AAR Mark. But about a 2-minute and 50-second snippet of my interview with Sarah Weaver, of Randy Weaver and fame, and ATF and FBI and all that. And that was Joe, you were there. That was a difficult interview for me to do because it was very emotional, right out of the box. But guys, go watch it. You can just look up GRPC, or Gun Rights Policy Conference 2025, and you can see the Saturday session, which I hosted, and you can see the Sunday session where the great Charlie Cook hosted that one in my absence. But I appreciate that. Joey, let's get started. Let's go to Prescott, Arizona. You know my affinity for Arizona. I'd be living in Arizona tomorrow. I'd move there tonight after the show if I could. And Prescott.
Yes, wonderful place.
Wonderful place. So much history in Prescott. And up in Prescott, Quang Nguyen, who is the House Judiciary Chair, is also a good friend of this program, who you know, and he that's his district up there. I was utterly shocked when I heard about this. I could not believe that what we're about to hear actually happened. Would you tell us from the beginning what occurred here?
Sure. Let me give you just a thumbnail, and then we can kind of go back and go through it. So we represented a young man by the name of Matthew Masucci, and he's given us permission to talk about his case, and in fact, he's done multiple interviews that are on our YouTube channel and other sites. So if you go to the Attorneys on Retainer YouTube channel, you'll see multiple interviews with Matthew and his girlfriend at the time, who was with him. And he did a lengthy interview with a local affiliate of ABC by Dave Biscabine, an investigative journalist here, who just did a great job putting together this story. Well, let me just tell you the quick story. Matthew Masucci, wonderful young man. He had moved to Prescott, like many people do, from another state. He happened to move from New York. He was living here as a young man in his late teens and early 20s. He had a wonderful job. He had a place to live. He was doing very well, started a business doing some construction and remodeling. And a very, very close friend of his had just come out from New York to be with Matthew and to help him. So one evening, Matthew was done with work, and he had his girlfriend in the car, and they were driving through Prescott For those of you who don't know, Prescott is a relatively small town. It's about 5,000 feet. It's up in the Pines. It's actually a really nice town. He's driving through the town, and his girlfriend wanted to stop and get a candy bar or a soda or something. He stops and he goes to a local convenience store where he's gone many, many times. They know him well. He goes into the convenience store, and he's standing there at the register to make his purchases when another car pulls up just one spot away from his vehicle. Nothing to see there. He just continues buying his stuff and keeps moving on. As Matthew exits the store and walks to his vehicle, and we know this because it's on video, Mark, he's walking straight to his car, and for some reason, the individual, one of the individuals in the pickup truck, takes offense to him. And he doesn't look like a typical Prescott young man. He's kind of a tall, slender young man with a little bit of a beard. He's wearing just a tank top and shorts and flip-flops, and he's going and he's getting in his car. And another gentleman in this vehicle pops out of the back seat and comes over and starts yelling him. And he's clearly inebriated. He's very drunk. He's yelling, and he won't let Matthew close his door. Matthew's trying to just close his door and get away. And again, his girlfriend's in the car watching this whole thing. Then while that gentleman's doing that, a young man, who we've later on find out is this man's 15-year-old son, gets out of the vehicle and is trying to pull his dad away. And looking at the video, we can see Dad gives him a shove and comes right back to Matthew to start yelling at him. Then the man's wife, who had gone inside the store to buy a couple of cases of beer, comes running out, gets involved. Now, at this point in time, the man has got Matthew's door. He's popped it open. He's in his face yelling at him. And finally, Matthew says, "Look, get back or I'm going to shoot you." He had a lawfully owned, lawfully possessed, lawfully carried pistol in a holster between his seat and the console. He took the pistol out and showed it. Now, for those who don't know, Arizona has a very, very strong defensive display statute that says you can use a firearm, you can display it to stop a crime from being committed. He displayed that, and immediately the man starts yelling at him some more, and then it comes out this man is a fire chief. It's like, "What are you going to do, shoot me? I'm a fire chief." And then the wife is saying, "Don't shoot him. We were just at his brother's funeral." And eventually they pull him away. Matthew closes his door. He drives away. Case is over. Except it's not. 3 days later, Matthew's pulled over at gunpoint with something that's called a high-risk felony stop, with multiple guns pointed at him and his friend, given numerous conflicting commands to where he could have easily been shot and killed, arrested, charged with multiple counts of aggravated assault with a firearm, held in custody for 3 days till his family could post $25,000 bond, and then his nightmare starts. This is all back in July of 2021.
Joey, the high-risk felony stop, to me, was absolutely overwhelming and on steroids. This did not even appear to be a normal felony stop. Do we know why? Was it because this guy was a fire chief that they took his words? You know, because guys, this could be you. When you listen to this story, I want you to picture it. Radio is theater of the mind. I want you to think about this being you. Joey, we're getting ready to take a break, so let me just talk through this with listeners briefly, and then we come back. I want to figure out the disposition here, because about 2 weeks ago I was unaware of it. Now I know what exactly happened. And guys, it's fascinating what occurred. But the destruction of this individual's life during this process was nothing short of reprehensible, what occurred to him. And it could be you. It could happen to you. And some of you might know that defensive display that Joey is talking about. You guys might know that as brandishing, okay? In many cases, many states, we refer to that as brandishing. But when we come back, we'll get more lowdown on this. The stop was unbelievable. And then what happened to him as this unfolded over the course of time is just absolutely incredible. Something you would not think would happen in Arizona, but it did. It can happen anywhere. We'll be back with Joey right after this.
Good.
Guys, we'll be back with Joey Hamby from Attorneys on Retainer here in just a couple minutes, 48 after to be exact. We'll find out the disposition of this mess in Prescott, but it was really, really reprehensible what happened to this young man. The best we can do with you on radio is play theater of the mind, so when you're listening to this, I want you to think about, what if this were me? Could this happen to me? If you carry a firearm, it absolutely can happen to you. Particularly, this is in Arizona, guys. Imagine Illinois, California, New York, Connecticut, Massachusetts, New Jersey, Maryland. Any anti-gun state. Many of you live behind the blue wall, sadly. Think about it in those terms. As far as that felony stop is concerned, both he and his passenger are lucky to be alive, frankly.
Yeah.
Well, they were given multiple differing commands by law enforcement at the time, and I believe there was multiple units, 4 to 5 units there.
Sure.
So picture a felony stop on steroids. Back at you in about a minute and a half, guys. Maybe a little less. All indications are this show is going to fly by today, guys, so buckle in. You guys will be on Cam and Company tomorrow, so make sure to check out the latest edition of Cam and Company. Be joining Cam tomorrow, and who knows where we're going to go. We'll let Cam run that. I'm just along for the ride.
Back in 5.
All right, guys, back at you.
This segment is brought to you by Attorneys on Retainer. Get the only self-defense program for gun owners backed by a real law firm, the Attorneys for Freedom. Visit them online at attorneysonretainer.us. Welcome back.
Yeah, welcome back indeed. And I'm just gonna, if you're watching the show on any of your devices, your television sets or anything, I'm just gonna hold up my card. I do have an Attorneys on Retainer card, as does every single member of my family, and you should too. Very quickly, just visit attorneysonretainer.us. Use the promo code AAR. And take advantage of the great discounts over there. Save $50 off, and it is $35 a month. I want you to pay very careful attention to what you're going to hear from Joey, and this will speak for itself. But keep that in mind. It's attorneysonretainer.us, and the promo code is AAR. Joey Hamby, welcome back, brother. Let's keep this conversation going. I know we're going to run out of time. We always do. But here we've got this massive felony stop. He's charged with multiple felonies. He finally, after 3 days, bonded out. What next?
So what happened next was he was initially charged with multiple serious felonies that carried a massive amount of prison time. Because in Arizona, while we are a very gun-friendly and self-defense-friendly state, if they believe that you've committed a crime with a firearm, it's some very harsh treatment. So he was initially arrested on multiple felonies, and then, as happens from time to time, more work needed to be done, so the prosecutor let the case expire. I won't get into the technicalities, but short story long, in essence, nothing had happened initially. He was bonded out. His family scraped together the money, got him out. He went back home to New York and then found out over a year later, oh no, they've now charged you with serious felonies, up to 33 years in prison, no less than 11 and a half years in prison if he's convicted on those charges. He gets local counsel there in Prescott. And again,
Wow.
Prescott's a nice little town. I'm from a little town here in Arizona as well. So I'm not looking down on anybody, but he got some local folks there that were not self-defense attorneys. And frankly, they had the case for quite a while before his family finally came to us in desperation, because he was being told, you're going to take a felony, you're going to get locked up, lose your gun rights, have your life destroyed even more than it already has been. He came to us in May, and by the end of July, we had the case dismissed after reaching out to the prosecutor, going through the video, which as far as I know, nobody had ever shown the prosecutor the video before, but that was more than 2 years after the fact, Mark. And so there's a lot of huge takeaways on this that I want to really, tell people about. But you asked me any questions, and I want to get into it.
I'm going to assume it cost him a whole hell of a lot more than $35 a month.
Absolutely, because remember, he hired somebody else first. He lost his house, he lost his job, he moved back to New York to be near his family, and I don't blame him. If that had been my son, I'd have said, no, buddy, you're headed back home right away. You're not staying out there where this happens. And so, unfortunately, he lost so much. I don't have a dollar figure for what he lost. You never can get one. It's in the tens, maybe 100 or 1,000 or more by the time you start calculating up all of the loss that somebody had. And, by the way, he had to get his family to bond him out. If he'd been an AAR member, we would have got him bonded out. They wouldn't have gotten out of pocket for that.
So you're right on all of that, ladies and gentlemen. Please pay attention to this. But so let's go now. More video surfaced. And when that video surfaced, you guys were able to pull and glean a lot from that other video. So what happened? What did the prosecutors tell you? You had a prosecutor come in, you sat down with them, you showed them the video. What occurred? And what is the final disposition of this right now as we talk today, Joey?
Right. So a couple things. Yes, there was video there, which unfortunately nobody had looked at. And I want to come back to this. Folks, if you're in this situation, get an attorney immediately. One of the problems that we had with this video is, for whatever technical reasons, which we've never been able to find out, there were chunks of it missing. And we had to get an expert, a great expert, Dr. John Black, to come in and help us with the video, to enhance it, to get it to show things that the prosecutor never could see before, to show that what Matthew was saying was 100% true. I also want to tell you that his girlfriend was a witness. She was in the car with him. To this day, nobody has ever interviewed her other than us. No police officers ever talked to her. No prosecutors ever talked to her. These are all things that if you don't get a defense attorney involved, you're going to lose witnesses, you're going to lose evidence, you're going to lose information. But I'm going to tell you, Matthew did a couple things right. Number one, he invoked his rights. And many people will say, well, if I don't talk to the police, if I don't give them an explanation, they're going to assume the worst. Folks, when you're being arrested in a high-risk felony stop with AR-15s and handguns being pointed at you and officers talking about getting lethal force, which you can see in the video on our website, we posted the body camera video, they already assume that you're wrong. They know that you're guilty when they're arresting you. And I'm not attacking our police. They do a tough job in a tough situation. But this one was screwed up and destroyed a young man's life.
So the prosecutor saw that videotape and said, you're right, we can't prosecute this, right?
Can't do this.
So the attorney that cost him all that money didn't get that done.
I don't have an explanation for that. I don't know if he never saw the video. I don't know if he didn't get an expert to enhance it. I'm going to say it was difficult, but nonetheless, that piece of evidence was one of the pieces, in addition to Matthew's statement, in addition to his girlfriend's statement, that showed this is just complete BS. And it was so blatant that we could show that some of the things that they were saying were absolutely untrue. They claimed that Matthew had this firearm in his waistband. Remember, I told you, he's wearing a tank top, shorts, and flip-flops. You can see him entirely as he comes in and out of the store. There's no firearm on his body, much less the full-size Glock 19 that he had in his car.
Yeah, it's clear from the video that none of that none of that was true. So these charges were dropped. In the essence of time here, the charges were dropped completely. He is no longer in any trouble, and he is still in New York, and he still does not have his firearm. In fact, from what I understand, he doesn't even want to go back and get it.
Doesn't want to go back and get it. That's still got to be done. We're going to assist him with that. But we've had so much, so many people requesting information from us, and the thing everybody wants to know is what's going to happen to the fire chief and his family. Mm-hmm. Are they going to be sued? Here's what I'm going to tell you. We are criminal defense attorneys. I think we're really good at what we do, and one of the things we do is we stay in our lane. And so I know he's talking with folks, and hopefully there'll be more information coming out there. But this is one of the things to realize, folks. You can be 100% right, which he was. Matter of fact, if he had shot and killed that man, he would have been fully justified under his own law. So you can be 100% right, and they can still try to destroy your life. Get counsel immediately and get somebody who knows what they're doing.
Yeah, guys, this is Arizona we're talking about. This isn't New York, okay? This is not a blue state. This is a gun-friendly place. Now, I will tell you this, my personal opinion. Matthew should own a few fire trucks about now or in the very near future. Now, what he wants to do with them, that's fine. I don't know. But as far as I'm concerned, he ought to own them and the salaries that go with them. Unbelievable. Hey, Joey Hamby, thank you, man, for being here. It was great seeing you a couple months ago, just last month at the Gun Rights Policy Conference. Looking forward to seeing you again one time before I see you in February when I come out to Arizona before the middle of December. Thank you for everything that you do. Guys, it's attorneysonretainer.us. I hope you paid attention to that. That's frightening stuff. All of the video of everything we just discussed and you heard Joey talk about is available on the website. I encourage you to go watch it. This is real life in action. This is not just not made up hypothetical stuff from a trainer. This is real life in action. Make sure to go check it out. You can find it at attorneysonretainer.us. And if you're so inclined, you can use the AAR promo code and carry this card like I do, okay? Don't play games, guys, because they're not either. Joey, thank you for being here. Guys, we'll be back with Jared Yanis for the solid hour. Don't go away.
You just filled your prescription for freedom with Mark Walters, presented by the National Rifle Association. The National Rifle Association on the Armed American Radio Network.
All right, guys, we're going to be back at 6 minutes after for a network break at the top of the hour. Jared Yanis from Guns and Gadgets is going to be here for the hour, and it's going to be a lively discussion. We're going to go in about 3 different directions, and you'll find all of them are current event news. But as is always the case, we begin to learn more. We were talking about the weed case that the Supreme Court has taken up and had some fun with, and I made some predictions about that, well, I might want to revisit after talking with Jared, and you'll hear that conversation. Why is the government doing what they're doing? And it's interesting because the plaintiff in this case is horrible. But think the Rahimi case. If you're up on this stuff, you got a bad guy it's not a good plaintiff. We got a similar situation going on here. In this case, I think even worse than Rahimi, to be honest with you. But we'll discuss it in great detail with Jared, who just pulled out all the stops on this. We're going to revisit this live for you coming up at about 6 minutes after the hour when we come back live. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back with you. Guys, this next hour coming up with Jared Yanis from Guns and Gadgets, it's going to be huge. Buckle down. Greg, you care to tell the world where you're going on vacation or what you're doing?
Jared, on hold.
I just asked you. I figured when you didn't answer that you were answering Jared's call, but I said, care to tell the world on a live mic what you're doing on vacation? Anything fun?
I'm going to, I think I mentioned this Friday, going to road trip out Tuesday, Wednesday to look at some property I'm interested in investing in. But other than that, just kind of going to be doing things at the house.
Staycay, huh? Nothing wrong with that, man. Sometimes that's well needed.
It's my preferred vacation. I love staying at the house. I'm a homebody.
I mean, you don't want to go on a cruise and catch norovirus?
Not a cruise. If I could go get on a ship and go dive some ships somewhere, I'm down for that.
Yeah, you have fun with that. I don't care what's down there, dude. All I know is when my toes hit the water, dude, I go from the top of the food chain to the bottom instantly. Not interested, bro.
Meow, 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 meow.
Yeah, you have at that shit. Oh, look, here comes a great white. Better scam. No, you can't scam as fast as he can. Nope. Oh, here comes a sand shark. He's not going to hurt you. I don't care. Look at him. Nope. He's 9 feet long. I'm looking over here at that thing.
There's plenty of nurse sharks that aren't going to bother you.
Okay,
same for black and white tips.
Yeah, and that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to pull out my phone and start Google searching what kind of shark it is that's coming at me.
I know by the looks, though. I can ID far too many shark species just by their silhouette.
Me too. And they all start with shark. Or I should say they end with shark. That's a so-and-so shark. No.
Plenty of sharks that don't care about you.
Yeah. That's my whole point. Take a chunk of you and go, yeah, no, I don't think so. Meanwhile, you got a chunk out of you.
Not
so
always
glad he left
works.
me alone. Took a chunk out of me, but he left me alone. Bullshit.
Meow, 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 meow.
This is Armed American Radio.
If they want to take my guns, they're going to have to bring a station wagon and a whole lot of friends because I'm not giving them anything.
From the Kahr Firearms Group studio at the Patriot Mobile Communication Center. Proudly presented to you by the National Rifle Association. National Rifle Association. Here is your host of Armed American Radio, the loudest conservative voice in America fighting for your rights, Mark Walters.
Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Hour 2, Armed American Radio's Monster Cast. The Armed American Radio Network begins right now. If you're just joining us, welcome in. Glad you're here. The water's warm. You're going to enjoy this hour. I can promise you that because I know I will. And if you're rejoining us, welcome back to the program, being heard on hundreds of radio stations across the nation. Last hour was fantastic here in the Kahr Firearms Group studios. Justin Davis, of course, the Public Affairs Director for the National Rifle Association, and Joey Hamby on that unbelievable self-defense case out of Prescott, which finally, thankfully, amounted to him being let go. If you missed that hour, I'll have the podcast up for you later, but good heavens, guys, it can happen to you no matter where you live, all right? If you carry a gun, think about what you heard in the previous hour. It's mind-boggling stuff. Greg, we're live on Facebook, facebook.com/Armed American Radio here in the Kahr Firearms Group studios on this powerful CZ microphone from the Patriot Mobile Ranch, and it's all brought to you by the National Rifle Association. You can check us out at facebook.com/Armed American Radio. If you do, we would appreciate it if you would like the post, share the post, help us take our social media back. About 80,000 followers over there and growing. We appreciate that very much. And Greg, I'll let you take it from there, and then we'll go to Jared. It's going to be a fascinating hour.
Yeah, sure. You can also watch the show over on YouTube and Rumble. Just do a search for Armed American Radio with Mark Walters. Over on X, we're at AAR Mark. You can head over to armedamericanradio.org or .com, hit that menu icon, then select your watch live or listen live option. And lastly, if you'd like to join our live chat, just download Telegram, create your profile, and search for Armed American Radio Conversations.
Jared Yanis, Guns and Gadgets, YouTube fame. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing good, my friend. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. You know, you're quickly becoming a fan favorite and a host favorite here, okay? I'm just letting you know that in advance. And Ryan Petty wanted me to tell you personally in a call I had with him during the break to tell you hello, so I'm doing that on a live microphone for you. Jared.
Appreciate it. How's it going?
Oh, man. But first off, tell us about your YouTube channel. Let's get everybody's many subscribers and bell ringers over there as we can for you.
Yeah, so I guess the easiest way to describe it for those who aren't familiar with it, if you love America and you love our Second Amendment and you believe that it actually means what it says, I will bring you everything from litigation to legislation, whether it's good, bad, ugly, or indifferent. But most of the time, unfortunately, it's the government trying to restrict or take away our right. But I will bring it to you unfiltered and raw and give you the information you need to make you up your own mind. But it's information that we don't get anywhere in the mainstream media, and my goal is to try to just educate as many people as possible.
And it works. You're a source here, okay? And boy, am I glad I watched your video the other day. Let's just jump right in because, as you said, sometimes the information you get, it's unfettered stuff, ladies and gentlemen. And what Jared's great at doing is throwing it out there and let you make the call, okay? And some of it's pretty frightening stuff. You know, we talk about the most pro-gun administration in the country, right? So let's go there and let's get this out of the way right now. I think we're in agreement that this administration is far more gun-friendly than the previous administration. There's no question about that. But this administration's not perfect either. Let's jump right in because the water is warm with this latest case that the Supreme Court is taking. I want you to take it away and explain it as best you can, just like you did on that video, because this is not a good plaintiff, Jared, at all in this case.
Oh, I assume you're talking about Hamby, the marijuana user case.
Yes, let's talk. Let's talk about some weed, and let me throw this out before we get into the weeds here, pun intended. Over the course of the past week, just looking at the surface of this case, I made the statement that there's likely going to be some happy weed smokers out there. Ladies and gentlemen, if you smoke pot and you answer a question on the 4473, I think it's 20A or 20B, if I'm not mistaken, on the 4473, are you an unlawful user? And you have a medical marijuana card or you smoke recreationally without the card, whatever the case may be, and you answer no on that form, that's a federal perjury charge. And the reason this is because weed is still illegal at the federal level, Jared. But as you point out in the video, we've got, roughly what, 2/3 of the states, close to it, at least 30 states, have decriminalized it or legalized it for both medicinal and recreational use. But there's far more involved in this case than just that. I'm going to sit here and tell you I'm open for this. I could be very wrong in my assessment from last week. I'm being very honest after watching your video. Tell us what's going on and why I may be wrong.
Well, so users need the users of marijuana need to understand one thing. What the government is doing, specifically, we'll mention in this case here, is they've picked the worst possible plaintiff to push it to the Supreme Court so that, in my opinion, they get a ruling similar to Rahimi, which looks to restrict the Bruin case standard even more. They're trying to restrict the ability of law-abiding citizens to have their Second Amendment. So, for instance, the way the law is right now, if you used marijuana a month ago, well, they want you to be stripped of your Second Amendment right forever. You might not be under the influence of marijuana at the moment, but they don't think you should ever have the right to defend yourself with a firearm. So there are many cases going on challenging this U.S. Law. It's 18 U.S.C. 922G3. But the Department of Justice has handpicked the worst possible plaintiff here, a terrorist, to bring this case to the Supreme Court in hopes that the court will say, this isn't good. We're going to restrict this even further. Because even though we have the luxury right now of having probably the most pro Second Amendment Supreme Court that we've ever had, they don't tend to like criminal type plaintiffs like we have here. For instance, this guy's name is Ali Daniel Hamby, and he is a dual citizen of the United States of America and Pakistan, and he is not a good cat. So comms were intercepted between him and some other people in which he was saying he was willing to commit fraud on behalf of the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps, which is a terrorist organization. So the FBI started to investigate, and they learned that he and his parents went over to Iran, and they were at General Soleimani's funeral, who was a known terrorist. His mother praised her two sons and hoped that they would become martyrs just like Soleimani. Hamani's brother is attending an Iranian university that has terror ties. And this Ali Hamani has even said, he's on record saying if he knew that there was a terror attack that was going to happen and kill a lot of people in America, he would not report it. So this is a person with legit ties to terrorism that our DOJ is well aware of, and they're using this guy because he was arrested after a search warrant for having a Glock 9 with a lot of weed and some cocaine, and he admitted to using weed every other day and stuff like that. So they're using this as the case out of all the others they could possibly pick from to, now push the Supreme Court to make a decision. Do users of marijuana have a right to defend themselves with the Second Amendment? So this is a horrible, horrible plaintiff in a case that probably should, the law should be overturned anyway, but this isn't the guy to do it, and we're probably not going to get a favorable decision out of this court.
Oh, there's so many questions here, because you want to believe that the government picked this guy specifically because of his terror ties. Okay, but as you just pointed out, this ruling is going to impact, and as you pointed out in your video on Guns and Gadgets, guys, I want you to go watch this. I think this video came out 3 days ago. You'll see it headlined over there at Guns and Gadgets. So go watch the video. It's about 14 minutes long. It's a tremendous wealth of information from Jared. But you want to believe, well, the government wouldn't do this. The government wouldn't do this to us in a pro-gun administration. This case is going to impact millions of American weed smokers who are smoking legally in their states, et cetera, Jared, who are not terrorists.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay? So that begs the question, is this a one-off? Can we trust government? I already know it's a rhetorical question, but can we trust government to only go after him and leave the rest of the weed smokers alone? Is it possible the Supreme Court punts on this? Look, we know that Roberts, look, if he can leave it to legislation, he's going to want to do that. That he doesn't want to step on it. We'll let the courts, but so if the Supreme Court wants to punt on this, it's possible, but there's just a lot going on. Guys, I'm running out of time here. I can't get it all out right now, but when we come back, we're going to go into all this with Jared Yanis from Guns and Gadgets. It's Guns and Gadgets over at YouTube. Make sure to check out his website or his YouTube channel, and make sure to subscribe over there and ring the little bell so you get the notifications on everything that Jared does, because his assessment of this has me rethinking everything I talked about on the air last week based on how much more I now know about this particular plaintiff. There's a lot going on. We'll get into as much of it as we can. Yeah, we're going to get into the weeds about the weed case, because it's not just about weed. So much happening. We'll be back with Jared, Guns and Gadgets, right after this. Guys, this is a fascinating case for a lot of different reasons. A lot of different reasons. It goes far deeper than just the weed issue and removing marijuana as a Schedule 1 because of the nature of the plaintiff. Man, I'll tell you what, this case can go a bunch of different directions, Greg.
Say again?
What's that?
Say again?
This case could go a lot of different directions.
Oh, sure.
I mean, you could see a 7-2-9-0 decision on this. I have no idea how they're gonna do this. None.
Yeah, this is the one you and I were talking about the other day.
It is, but we didn't go near into the detail with the plaintiff that we're doing with Jared right now.
Back in 15.
Roger that. You heard that, guys.
The following segment of Armed American Radio is proudly being brought to you by the National Rifle Association. Help us defend freedom by visiting nra.org/AAR and join today. Welcome back to the show.
Yeah, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Armed American Radio's Monstercast continues on hundreds of stations around the nation. We appreciate you being here. If you're just joining us, welcome in. If you're rejoining us, welcome back. And you heard the NRA rejoin right there here in the Kahr Firearms Group studios at the Patriot Mobile Ranch. It's all brought to you by the NRA. Join us, won't you please? The National Rifle Association is at the tip of the spear. You heard Justin Davis in the first hour of the program. If you missed it, we'll have it up on podcast for you as soon as the show is done airing today on all of the terrestrial stations across the country. We'll get it up for you as fast as possible. But we need your help to stay on the gas. It's nra.org/AAR, nra.org/AAR, and we're going to send you a range bag on that. And a lot of people have asked me, when am I going to get the range bag? It's taken a few weeks, ladies and gentlemen. The response has been overwhelming, so have some patience with us there, but you're going to get the range bag for a 1-year or 3-year membership. If you sign up or join or rejoin for a 5 or a life membership, we're going to send you the 10x42 binoculars, the lens covers, and the case as well. So you get some really cool stuff there, and you're in the fight. You are in the fight with us. If you want to do a 1-year membership, it's only $35, $10 off. And guess what? If you don't want to send any more money, that's fine. You can opt out of emails. It's real simple to do. Just hit unsubscribe. And you're in the fight with us, and we would appreciate that very much. Jared Yanis, Guns and Gadgets, welcome back, brother. Let's keep this conversation alive because there's so much happening here with this horrible plaintiff. Let's talk about some of the possibilities here, Jared. Sure. What do you, I hate to ask this question because it's impossible to know what the court is going to do. You know, we can look back at history. We can see some of the things that we know Roberts has done. Roberts has always shown a proclivity to, you know, let legislative bodies do what they do, keep it out of the courts, et cetera. I don't know that that's going to be the case here in this particular case. Why do you suspect that the most pro-gun administration brought this case? I mean, we know that on the surface because this is a bad guy. But when they know the ramifications of the outcome that they want as it impacts millions of otherwise law-abiding citizens across this country.
Well, honestly, I just believe that our government has no intention of ever legalizing marijuana, so they're not going to lessen any of the restrictions on anybody that they deem as an illegal user of that. Still a controlled dangerous substance, even though half of the states has legalized it, like you mentioned earlier. You look back at the way this country was structured, and when we first started, you had with Thomas Jefferson and even George Washington, they farmed hemp. If you go by the Bruin decision, any type of firearm, any type of gun control has to be consistent with this nation's historical tradition of firearm regulation. And there are no laws on the books where, like the government says here, the DOJ is saying that, this ban is similar to restrictions on drunkards. Well, if you go back and you look at the founding, there were no laws that took any weapon from anybody unless they were under the influence at that time. So that's the main issue here, is you're trying to basically steal someone's right to defend themselves forever because they used an item once in their lifetime. Because if you say on that question you never used marijuana, but you used it once, or you've taken it twice, and now that was when you were 18 and now you're 35, well, then you lied, like you said, you lied on a federal form, you become a prohibited person. So it's a catch-22. They know that, with half of the country legalizing, they know tens of millions of people have either tried it or use it regularly for medicinal or recreational use. And you're looking at literally stealing the Second Amendment away from tens of millions of people if the court rules the way they'll probably end up going with this, because, like you said, it's a bad plaintiff. But you also have... So this Department of Justice, the day after I was on your show 2 weeks ago, I was called up by Assistant Attorney General Hamby Dillon, and she didn't like the fact that I called out how they say they're the most self-proclaimed, most pro-2A Department of Justice ever, which is a low bar to obtain. She didn't like that I was calling them out for literally defending the National Firearms Act in court. So when I called them out, I think gaslighting is a terrible thing. So you can't say you're for our rights and then you go into court and just fight to restrict them. So you have the Solicitor General here, John Sauer, who in this case, the marijuana case, admitted that millions of people will be affected by this because it's a sweeping ban. It's not like you're taking away somebody's right for violence and they were found guilty and given a sentence, right? This is something that it's somebody's life choice. They want to smoke something, and if they use it once, they lose their Second Amendment for life. We're not disarming sober people when they're sober. They've historically been disarmed when they're under the influence. So if somebody's high on drugs and hallucinogens, then yeah, maybe it's probably not in their best interest to make a split-second decision on taking somebody's life or not. But if they're stone cold sober and they haven't used, I don't think we have the right to tell people what they can do to defend themselves. Maybe I'm in the wrong. You tell me.
No, I agree with you. And you're right. It is a catch-22 because there's this part of us that we want to believe, right, that a quote-unquote pro-gun administration, I want to believe, let me phrase it this way. And guys, I know I'm going to get a lot of hate for this because somebody's going to take me out of context here, but too bad. I want to believe that they're going after this guy because this is their excuse to disarm what they know could be a very dangerous individual inside this country. He's already said that. Oh, and we're not going to mess. We want to believe that they're not going to mess with the other 25 million, right? It's just this guy, but we can't do that. It doesn't work that way. And if you want to talk about intoxicants, every single founding father had a distillery in their basement, and every single one of them loved to booze it up. And as you said, they grew hemp, et cetera, and they used it for a lot of different things. But nonetheless, now, again, this goes back to the crux of the Bruin decision, right? And the government, it would appear, might have a case on that historical tradition that was written into Bruin that might give them what could be a 7-2, or I would go as far as saying it could even be a 9-0 decision in this one, Jared.
Yeah, you would hate to think that, but
it's possible.
You're right. It could. It's very possible because I don't think a lot of the people who have been in government or public service at the federal level do not look kindly on, in their view, drug users having guns. They just don't. And now this case is thrust before them. It's not, if there's 10 cases that are challenging 922G3, this is the worst one they could have taken. And this is similar to Rahimi, where the Biden DOJ handpicked Rahimi and through Merrick Garland, shoved it in front of the Supreme Court because they knew they were going to get a decision favorable for them, which was restricting the Second Amendment. And it's just, how can you think that a terrorist, a legitimate terrorist, is going to sway the Supreme Court to side on our side in favor of the Second Amendment? I just don't see it. But again, like you said, unless you're in the room, you never know what the justices are thinking or saying. And unfortunately, we won't hear the decision until June. But it's speculation until then.
Yeah, I predicted maybe we'll get the decision early on, maybe 420. Who knows? You never know. We possibly could. But when we come back, I have one more question for you regarding this case, and then I want to flip over to Maine. You also did great work on the yellow flag versus red flag law in Maine. Then we'll flip over to North Carolina. We've got Jared Yanis, Guns and Gadgets, for 2 more segments on Armed American Radio's Monster Cast. Hundreds of radio stations. You're on a Talkers 100 program. Love you. Got to take a network break here. We'll be back right after this. Don't go away with Jared Yanis.
Doped up on weed.
Doped up on weed. You had to pull that little lick out, didn't you? He's all doped up on weed. Who was I talking to when I said that? I think I was talking to Hoosier on that.
I don't remember, honestly. I think it was an episode where we were talking about, I think we might have been talking about this case earlier on.
Not this one.
Or one similar to it.
Yeah, I don't remember. Doped up on weed. Can you be doped up on weed? I guess you can. I don't know. I haven't smoked weed since I was 13 years old. Smoked it once, never did like it again. Never liked it.
It's a very boomer phrase.
What is doped up on weed?
Yeah.
I don't even know that it's a phrase. It just kind of popped out. I'd never heard it before.
I have an uncle-in-law that likes to, he used to like to bust my cousin's balls about it all the time. Like, David, you still smoking that dope kind of stuff? And I just laugh so hard. I'm like, that is the boomerest thing I've ever heard in my life.
Smoking dope?
Yeah, it's always a boomer that says something like that.
Always a boomer, right?
Always a boomer.
Some old dude wearing a pair of cargo shorts and New Balance sneakers.
out just fresh done mowing the lawn.
Golf shirt and white belt. Socks.
That or a wife beater.
His calves. Acid wash jeans and a pair of New Balance. What do you got, about a minute and a half?
So what?
Got about a minute and a half?
Yeah, 15, minute 15.
Oh, slept funky on my neck last night. It's been killing me all day. That's all right. Ain't nothing but a thing. It's just a thing. That's all it is. It's just a thing. Hurts like a bitch, though.
$30.
Let's do this.
Hi, it's Mike Gallagher wanting to let you know that the crew of the Desperado Sport Fish in Virginia Beach, Virginia supports Armed American Radio and the Second Amendment, and I'm right there with them. Now back to Mark Walters.
Indeed. Welcome back. That's a great Mike Gallagher. You can listen to Mike Gallagher, Salem Radio Network, every single morning, Eastern, 9 to noon, West Coast time, 6 to 9 a.m., and he does support the Second Amendment. I've been blessed to know Mike Gallagher for a lot of years, and he's the real deal. He is a real supporter of the Second Amendment, and we appreciate him for that rejoin very much. Welcome back in, guys, to the Kahr Firearms Group studios. Mark Walters with you on a few hundred radio stations around the nation. New York City is always a pleasure to be with you, all the way out to the West Coast, down to Miami, all the way up into Seattle. We love you guys, and everywhere in between. Great to be here with you today. Welcome back to the program, Kahr Firearms Group studios. CZ Mike lit up the Patriot Mobile Command Center. Please visit all of our great partners at armedamericanradio.com. And if you're watching on your devices, this is a Patriot Mobile activated phone. You can do the same thing, patriotmobile.com/AAR. You will get a free month over there. And if you bring your phones over and you owe less than $500, want to move all your phones at one time or just one at a time, you'll get a credit for that $500. So if you move 4 phones over, $2,000 credit, you're not going to pay a phone bill for a long time. Plus, you get that free month. And you support a business that supports this program, your rights, and shows up at every single pro-gun outfit gig across the country with booths and everything else. It is part of their mission to support the Second Amendment. You can read it right on their website, patriotmobile.com. And you can find, again, all of our great partners at armedamericanradio.com. Jared, welcome back. Guns and Gadgets. Great to have you here, always. You know, I lied. I said I have one question. I have two for you. Number one, you mentioned Harmeet Dillon. I mentioned her. She put out a 6-minute and 50-second video out there as a direct response to your video, which I thought was great, man. Congratulations on that. It cleared some things up, but it still posed a few questions, and it made great content on this program. First quick question. Have you heard anything from her yet? Do you expect to see another response? I would not be shocked to see another response from her based on your latest video.
It wouldn't surprise me. I'm glad that my channel has gotten to the point where the Department of Justice is watching it.
You bet.
I mean, it's also scary at the same point. But interesting, like I told the Assistant Attorney Generals, I just call balls and strikes. I don't consider myself a Republican. I'm definitely not a Democrat. I consider myself a constitutionalist. If you're not pushing to return our country back to maximum individual liberty, then I have an issue with you. And while the AAG was making that video in front of her desk, the Department of Justice was in court the same day, the same time, federal court, defending the same thing, defending the NFA in another case. So you can tell me till you're blue in the face that you're doing these great things to support and defend the Second Amendment, but actions speak louder than words. And all too often they're defending laws that are on the books rather than saying, you know what, justices, you know what, judges, this law is unconstitutional and we think it should be struck down. It's that easy. They can do that. You know, I do know it's a little different. I know how courtroom works, being a police officer for a long time. But if you're not trying to do that, then are you really, truly the most pro-2A DOJ ever? I think of it in a different way. If I'm trying to be the most pro-2A and I'm going to say, all right, I have these marching orders from President Trump to just undo all the Biden era restrictions, then do it. It was supposed to be done on day one, and here we are several months into it, almost a year into it now, and we haven't seen it.
Yeah, the next question for you on that, guys, you can make up your own mind on that. The next question that I have is, again, almost rhetorical, but bad plaintiff on this case for obvious reasons, terror ties, the whole 9 yards. He's already made it clear that he would allow a terrorist attack if he knew it was going to happen. He wouldn't do anything to stop it, which leads me to believe that's why the government's doing what they're doing. But the impact that it will have on the other millions of weed smokers across this country, they have essentially not really been proactive in going after any of those. Now, I don't know what the numbers are, Jared. Maybe you do, of how many cases they've prosecuted on that federal form or lying on that 4473 because of that. I don't know how even possible that is. I have no earthly idea there. I'm not going to pretend to know those numbers. But let's assume that the outcome is what the government wants in this case. How do we know that they're not, particularly on the heels of a victory, if they have no intention? Now, Trump has talked a little bit about it, possibly removing it as a Schedule 1, being marijuana, ladies and gentlemen, weed, whatever you want to call it. As Greg said during the break, dope. All right, that's a boomer term, he said. But the fact of the matter is, we can't trust him at that point anymore. I mean, how much do we trust government anyway, right? No matter who's running the ship.
Right. I mean, it's tough for us to trust them on any of this stuff. I mean, the most famous person that got themselves in a bind on the 4473, his name was Hunter Biden, and he got away with it. So how they can prosecute anybody else under the same scenario is kind of questionable, right? Do you trust them to do it? No. Do they go after people regularly for lying on the 4473? No. Do we expect them to follow up when they tell us they're doing good things? Yes, but are they doing it? No. I mean, they have done some good things. I don't want to sound like a total detractor.
Right.
They have done great things, but when they do, I praise them. Like, for instance, with Hamby Dillon, she liked the video I did when I said that she was going to bat for the Second Amendment and actually went to court and testified against an assault weapon ban and a magazine ban. She did great, but then, a week later, they're pushing for the NFA when we have great momentum to get rid of the NFA. So I'd like to see them do more things in favor of the Constitution rather than keeping with laws on the books that are unconstitutional.
Yeah, and in that NFA case, ladies and gentlemen, Harmeet Dillon and the rest of them decided that there was simply not enough precedent from the Supreme Court to push that. That didn't bode well for us. We wanted that case to be heard. And hopefully we'll get one of those taken care of. I know the Second Amendment Foundation, NRA, and others, FPC, are involved, Gun Owners of America, trying to rid us of the NFA. So that's content for another program as we get closer and closer to those dates happening, and hopefully they will. Let's go to Maine now. I just had Justin Davis, Public Affairs Director for the National Rifle Association, on. He hails from Maine. You did another phenomenal video on the breakdown of these red flag laws, which I am absolutely 100,000 gazillion% opposed to. They flip the Constitution on its head. They destroy what we would know as due process. You go into a deep dive, as you always do, on your latest video yesterday or the day before regarding this, because Maine has what we're referring to as a yellow flag law now, but they're opening this red flag law up. They want to, and according to Justin, it's neck and neck right now, which is kind of scary, Jared. But what's your take on this, the difference between the yellow flag and the red flag, and what it is the anti-gunners are trying to do?
Sure. So yellow flag is still unconstitutional, but the main thing with what Maine has for their yellow flag law is it requires a few things. The ultimate end goal is to disarm a citizen before they're found, guilty beyond all reasonable doubt. But what the yellow flag in Maine does is, the big thing is you have to have a mental health professional's input. You have to, which is kind of a way to have some due process built into the program. You also have to meet the clear and convincing evidence standard, which is not always easy to meet. And again, the person is evaluated before you remove the guns. And often, in many cases in Maine, law enforcement doesn't get involved until that due process takes place with the mental health professional. The problem with the gun grabbers in Maine is they say that has been too difficult of a standard to meet, the yellow flag. So they want red flags. And most people know what red flags are is a joke. There's no due process at all. They want to remove the mental health professional standard because that's just too difficult and takes too long, and we want to take the guns right away. They want to move it down to a more likely than not evidence standard, which is basically, we think you did it. And one interesting thing here is to mention is that the police union, the FOP in Maine, is telling people to vote against this. Not for the reasons we think they should. For instance, it violates the Second Amendment, the Fourth Amendment, due process, changes the evidentiary standard. They're just saying that it's tough on them and it would stress budgets and put them at risk because they would get involved earlier in the process. So yellow flag, while unconstitutional still, red flag is a joke and easier to meet, which is why they want to go to it, because they're having difficulty meeting the due process standards. All
right, we're getting ready to take a break, unfortunately. When we come back, I want to continue the conversation on that, because you are absolutely right about this. Ladies and gentlemen, you can watch his video at Guns and Gadgets on YouTube, and many of you have 775,000 followers over there, growing. We want to help him get to over 1 million, and that's real easy to do. Visit Jared Yanis over at YouTube, Guns and Gadgets, click subscribe, And when you're watching those videos, ring that little bell so you get notifications like I do every time he puts something out. We'll be back. One more segment with great Jared Yanis from Guns and Gadgets. Don't go away. Back right after the break, guys. Guys, when we come back with Jared talking about the red flags, I am going to take the conversation back to Florida and back to the DOJ because Bondi, of course, if you're in Florida, you know what I'm talking about here. And if you're a listener to the program, you know, or just follow this as news, and most of you do. But, of course, Pam Bondi was Florida AG, and she supported red flag laws right after Parkland. And it's Florida, by the way, that uses red flag laws more than any other state in the nation. Yeah, gun-friendly, the gun-shine state. We're going to go there with Jared. He's got a lot to say about it. Yeah, freaking these hours are flying right by, guys. We're about ready to knock out the second hour already. Greg, get off the Zoom switch. Too much to talk about. Fratelli's Pizza. Greg just said he's hungry. I asked him to get off the Zoom switch because time was flying. He said, I'm hungry. I'm on it.
I'm leaning into it.
Fratelli's. Either that or Texas Roadhouse. One of the two would work for me.
It's a little too late for both. Once I get home, I've got a ton of food left over that I cooked yesterday, from corn in the husk to jalapeno poppers to bratwurst to I got the works at the house.
Oh, you had the grill going yesterday.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because none of that is stovetop stuff, guys.
No, not at all.
No. Greg knows better. Guys, I have a recipe for grilled pork chop sandwiches that's going to blow your mind. In fact, I'll give you that recipe during a break. It would be a perfect addition to the Grilling While Armed book. And for those of you tuned in on any of the social media platforms, please like us on those platforms. Help us take our social media back. Follow us at Twitter at AAR Mark. Like and share the post. Over 4,000 of you watching the show right now. Over, I think, 12,000 views so far and about 4,000 active. We appreciate it very much. Please subscribe to the Armed American Radio podcast on your favorite podcast platform. Never miss an episode. 17 years on the air, guys. Talking about this. And we're never going to stop, by the way. Less than a minute.
$30.
That is less than a minute. And we're back at you, guys.
If you own a firearm, you know that a self-defense incident can happen anytime. That's why you need Attorneys on Retainer. They're the only self-defense program backed by real attorneys who specialize in self-defense cases. Visit them online at attorneysonretainer.us. Welcome back.
Yes, indeed. Welcome back. And we appreciate you guys being here. Thanks for tuning in today. Kahr Firearms Group Studios lit up. The on-air light is flashing out in the street for anybody driving by here at the Patriot Mobile Ranch. It's all brought to you by the National Rifle Association. attorneysonretainer.us/AAR. Take advantage of that. It is $35 a month, guys. Multiply it out. times 12. I'll let you liberals use a calculator to figure it out. But I will tell you this. You don't need a degree in mathematics to know that the entire 12 months is less than 1 hour's fee of a great attorney. And Jared knows that very well, too. He's very familiar with attorneys on retainer. Guys, they are the real deal. And if you carry a firearm, you know bad things can happen. So make sure to check them out. We make it simple for you. attorneysonretainer.us. And they use the AAR promo code. You can find all of our great partners. If you're watching on your television's devices, you can see my Bud's Gun Shop shirt here. They are, in fact, our exclusive online retailer. Make sure to check out budsgunshop.com. They have everything you need, and you need and want everything that they have. I can promise you that. We'll be up there doing a live broadcast in the next few weeks. We'll keep you posted. And you can find all of our great partners over at armedamericanradio.com. Jared Yanis, welcome back. So red flags. I can't go to red flags without going to Bondi and Florida, bro. I have to go there. Because you pointed out in the video, and we've pointed it out here. We've not shied away from this. And I will give this to Bondi. I do not fear her as AG simply because I know Trump's directives and so forth. However, we can never trust government, period. And we're talking about some of these issues now. Bondi was a fan of red flag laws when she was the AG in Florida in 2018, as you know. And as you pointed out in your video, and I'm glad you did, that's where I want to go with you. Florida uses red flag laws now more than any other state in the nation.
Yeah, the gunshine state.
The gunshine state.
Most people are taken aback when I say that, but you can do an easy Google search and you can see how many times the state of Florida uses a red flag, bill, a law, ERPO. Many states call them different things, but it's just disgusting. It is the biggest, and I've been saying this for years, it's the biggest end around of the Constitution we have. It violates just about every single right our forefathers died to set up to protect us from government intrusion. Everything about a red flag, our forefathers would consider tyranny, yet we have states tripping over themselves to try to install them.
Yeah, and when you guys in Maine, pay careful attention to this. I actually did a dive into some of the numbers, Jared, and what I found out in Florida was, for example, the average murders in 2023 was 1,046 throughout the state of Florida, okay? Red flag laws have been used thousands and thousands of times in the state of Florida. Mm-hmm. So are you telling me that thousands and thousands of murders have been averted because of the use of red flag laws when it was 1,046 in 2023? Look, I'll give it this, maybe one or two domestic violence situations. We have no way of knowing that. What we do know is due process rights have been turned right smack on their head. Fourth Amendment violations, Sixth Amendment violations, 14th Amendment violations, and on down the line with these things. When are we going to get one of these cases somewhere to get this overturned? Will the Supreme Court ever look at this? This seems so ripe. It just seems so ripe.
Yeah, I think so. I think, unfortunately, we have to wait the years for one of these lawsuits to work its way through the system. And the system is designed to be slow. I know most people hate when I say that, but the forefathers wanted the system to be slow so that our rights could not be, stripped from us in rapid fashion. So it will get to them. It will take time. I think it's a slam dunk for us because there is no historical tradition of anything that a red flag law does. So it's a win when they get to it, but unfortunately we have to wait and watch more people suffer at the hands of a government that is just too eager to strip their citizens from the right to defend themselves.
Yeah, and Bruin is really a prime example of that, Jared. You're watching the justices now not taking certain cases. Of course, the Fourth Circuit case, assault weapons ban case, originally known as the Snopes case. We thought that was a slam dunk. We thought they were going to take that case. I would have lost a lot of money on that, on a bet in Vegas for sure, because that case checked all the boxes. Kavanaugh knew that. He seemed to know that in his statements after the refusal to take the case out of conference, that we will get one of these cases up in the next couple of years. We know Thomas wants to write one, and Mark Smith has gone as far as saying that he believes Kavanaugh would write the decision in this based on past history and some of the things that he has written about. I don't know. I don't care. I just want him to get the case up. Illinois looks to be a good one right now. But, Bruin, we're watching the Supreme Court watch these cases move through, and that's why they're refusing to take some of these guys, and it's why it takes so long to get these cases through the courts. But I would like to believe, and I want to believe, and I have to believe that there's like you said, Jared, there's a method to the madness here, that it's designed to be that way so that they can make informed decisions when they look at some of the circuit splits, et cetera. Is that a fair statement?
Yeah, absolutely. Some of the justices, they don't really want to take a case if it's not going to settle the question that's being asked in that case once and for all. And then, of course, the blue states will do everything they can to circumvent their decision anyway. But they don't want to take a case, say an assault weapon ban case. They don't want to take it unless the ruling they know is going to be definitive. So They don't want wishy-washy facts. They don't want, ideally a bad plaintiff, unless the DOJ is forcing it to them. They do tend to make their decisions on solid grounds. Sometimes we don't want to hear that, but there are better written assault weapon ban cases in the pipeline than the Snow case. So hopefully they take the right one, I guess.
Yeah, I'm hopeful they do too, and we've got a good one working through its way right now in Illinois, and I think what they're going to do. I'm going to agree with Alan Gottlieb on this. They're likely going to bring a magazine capacity case along with a assault weapons ban case and lock both those together. That would be nice to see, and kill two birds with one stone, pun intended. North Carolina, we going to get an override on that veto constitutional carry with the last minute we have?
Brother, it's going to be real tough.
I'm afraid
we don't
you're
have
right.
the numbers. And in order to get that override, we need some Democrats to not show up. And it's on the docket always in reserve, just in case. But it's going to be really, really tough to obtain, unfortunately.
Do you believe that's why they've been pushing this off? Because that vote has already been scheduled twice before through September and October, and it's now been pushed off to mid-November. I'm going to guess that that's probably why, that the Republicans know they don't have the votes on that yet, and they don't want to take it.
Yeah, that's exactly why they're doing it.
Oh boy, what do you have? What do you have coming up? Tell us about your videos with the time that we have remaining. What are you doing for us on Guns and Gadgets this week? What can we expect?
Well, I will be telling America about a case where I do give the DOJ an attaboy here, either tomorrow afternoon or the following day. I'm not just totally against them, but I go all over the place, as you know. I just want people to be aware of what's actually happening, not just what they tell you is happening. There's often two sides of the coin here. It's what they say isn't always what's going through in the courts.
And we got 20 seconds. Tell people where they can watch you again, although we've said it repeatedly. Ladies and gentlemen, I want you to subscribe over there. Help him get to 1 million. Come on, man. We're all in this together. The water's warm, as I say. Jared, where do we get you?
YouTube's the biggest one, Guns and Gadgets. I'm also on all the socials, but X, Twitter seems to be the most friendly for the Second Amendment, so you can follow me there as well.
Jared Yanis, thank you, brother. Fan favorite for a reason. You are quickly becoming a fan favorite, and we hope that you come back to the program soon. It's always fun. I put you right up there with Cam Edwards, man. You bring out the best in everybody. Thank you for everything that you do. Ladies and gentlemen, if you've not seen his channel, Guns and Gadgets, you are really doing yourself a disservice. Make sure to go over to YouTube and check it out. Jared is the real deal. And as he says, he's going to tell you straight up, ladies and gentlemen, you're smart enough to make up your own mind. Thank you, Jared. Appreciate it very much. When we come back, a classic Armed American Radio Roundtable. Parkland Father Ryan Petty is going to be here. He's been tuned in and engaging in the chat. We appreciate that. Of course, combat vet Brad Premo, former law enforcement. He's going to be here, founder of Leadslinger's Whiskey, as always. And, of course, we're in the Kahr Firearms Group studios. Kahr Firearms Group CEO Justin Moon will be here. We'll see you at 6 minutes after on the flip side. Don't go away. We'll see you right after the break. All right, guys. Wow, great 2 hours. Flying right by. Buckle in. The next hour is always good. You never know what's going to pop up. We go a lot of different directions there. I've got a number of things I want to talk with you about, talk with the crew about. And a case that just broke here on Fox 5 in the Atlanta metro area today. A guy arrested for shooting at attempted carjacker. This is an interesting case. You're going to love this. Yeah, he was arrested. The victim was arrested. And Georgia law is pretty clear here, so I'm not sure where they're going, but we'll get some advice from the guys in the roundtable on that. And we'll talk a little bit about Glock, get somebody's thoughts on that. Should Glock just pull out of California? It looks like it's already too late for that. They've made their statements. And I don't think we're going to know any more from Glock. They hold their stuff pretty close to their vest over the years. I don't expect them to change up at this point. Armed American Radio's Monster Cast will be right back. In the business, we call this a biology break. We'll see you at 6 minutes after with the crew. Back at you guys. About 3.5, 4 minutes. Kick off the roundtable for you. Buckle in. It's going to fly by. It always does. Apple juice. Yeah, let's call it apple juice.
That'll do.
It actually is. Got the crew? Mics are live, by the way. See, guys, when Greg doesn't answer right away, it's because he's taking phone calls. So I know how that works.
All right, gang's all here.
All right. Be right with you. All right, guys. Let me take this opportunity here to show you guys. I'm going to show the. Let me show you viewers the. These are barrel buddies here, guys. Pitch the patch. Okay, might be kind of hard to see. We'll get this on here. You can see it's kind of hard to see both tips. But it's patented, and this is what you use. You stick this onto your little jig and run it right through the barrel of your firearm. It's patented. And you can pitch the patch and never again use a patch. No more mess, no more fuss. $14.98 for a pack of 50 of these, all right? Run it right through your jag rod on here, and here you go. Barrel buddies. Pitch the patch. Clean your guns the right way. Here's the real cool part. Use the promo code AAR, get 10% off. When you do that, over there at barrelbuddy.com/AAR, you can also sign up as an affiliate and actually make money yourself. So take advantage of it. Make it easy for you. Best way to clean your guns, I can promise you. Takes 2 swipes. Coming to you here in a few seconds.
10 seconds.
This is Armed American Radio.
If they want to take my guns, they're going to have to bring a station wagon and a whole lot of friends because I'm not giving them anything.
From the Kahr Firearms Group studio at the Patriot Mobile Communication Center. Proudly presented to you by the National Rifle Association. National Rifle Association. Here is your host of Armed American Radio, the loudest conservative voice in America fighting for your rights, Mark Walters.
All right, hour 3 is now underway on Armed American Radio's Monster Cast here at the Patriot Mobile Communication and Command Center. And it's all brought to you by the great National Rifle Association. 6 days a week, Armed American Radio's Monster Cast on Sunday from 8 to 11 Eastern, 5 to 8 Pacific, and every Monday through Friday, 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. Eastern, 1 to 2 p.m. Pacific time. You can do the math in between there wherever you happen to live and calculate that time zone for yourself. But you can catch us live on our social media platforms here in the Kahr Firearms Group studios on Sundays in front of this powerful CZ microphone. Greg in Dallas, we're live on Facebook.com/Armed American Radio, Facebook.com/Armed American Radio. And I would ask you, ladies and gentlemen, to please subscribe. Like us over there. Help us get back up to 100,000. Social media wasn't real good to us over the Biden years. That much I can promise you. They didn't like what we talked about here from a political standpoint, but those days are long gone. So help us take it back. And if you're on Twitter over there, make sure to like us over there on Twitter. Follow us at AAR Mark. Greg, take it away. We'll get going with the boys.
Yeah, sure. Other places to watch the show are going to be YouTube and Rumble. Just do a search for Armed American Radio with Mark Walters. Over on X, we're at AAR Mark. And you can also head on over to armedamericanradio.org or .com. Hit that menu icon, then select your watch live or listen live options. Lastly, if you want to join our live chat, just download Telegram, create your profile, and search for Armed American Radio Conversations.
Yeah, we appreciate that very much. Guys, 4,200 active viewers right now. 21,000 of you have tuned in on X alone. And, wow, thank you very much for that. You got a great program, by the way. The first hour was amazing. Justin Davis, Public Affairs Director, National Rifle Association, was amazing. Joey Hamby was huge. Guys, if you carry a gun for self-defense, we'll have the podcast up for you. If you missed that first 2 hours, we'll get it up for you here when the program is over. Give us about a half hour after we get the download from the network. We'll have it up there and fatten up the audio for you and cut out the spots so you guys get a clean 39 minutes of just pure content on the podcast. And you can subscribe to our podcast, please do, at Armed American Radio on your favorite podcast platform. Take advantage of that and never miss one of these national radio shows 6 days a week. And we do appreciate everything that you do for the program. That's why we've been here for 17 solid years. So make sure to follow us and like us and all that fun stuff. All right, let's get to the boys. Let's go over to Parkland Father Ryan Petty first in the house. Ryan, how you doing, brother? Great to have you here. I know he's there. He just has to. There he is.
I'm right here.
He's probably choking on a peanut butter sandwich again, or either that or a Haagen-Dazs bar. How you doing?
Haagen-Dazs might be closer to the truth, but
you sound like you're sitting in the studio with me.
Great to be here with you.
Always a pleasure. Let's go over to Combat Vet, founder of Lead Slingers Whiskey, a former law enforcement, our dear friend, and a fan favorite for years on the program and the Roundtable, a staple, if you will. Brad Premo, how you doing, brother Brad?
I'm doing well, Mark. How are you?
I'm doing wonderful. It's thanks for being here. Hey, did you get any barbecuing done over the weekend? The weather was beautiful. I'm sure it was where you are in Tennessee too.
It was fantastic, but no, I didn't get a chance. I had to go out of town for a nephew's birthday party. I spent yesterday at a Chuck E. Cheese, so my nerves are still kind of
Chuck E. Cheese will do that. Fratelli's Pizza, and those of you in Dayton, Ohio, know that Marion's and Fratelli's are some of the best pizzas you can get. But at Chuck E. Cheese, hey, got to go do the niece nephew thing. I get it. And guys, I will have a grilling while armed recipe for you coming up in the next break. That is going to blow your mind. So I'll tell you about it on the break. If you're watching over the airwaves anywhere, you're watching on any of our media platforms or TVs, I'm going to have a great recipe for you, so stick around in the next break. Justin Moon, CEO of Kahr Arms. How you doing, brother? You are a fan favorite. I don't even have to say that. How you doing, Justin?
Doing good, Mark. Thanks for having me, buddy.
Oh, it's always a pleasure, man. What do you got fun over at Kahr now? I'm trying to keep the X9 out of my kid's holster and keep it in my holster, and it's been really tough to do. That gun is phenomenal, Justin. It's great.
We need to send you the ported X9, Mark.
Yeah, well, I'll take it. What are you shipping next?
The ported X9.
Oh, the ported X9. Oh, good heavens, yeah, I'll take that. I'll add that to the stable. I want that 50 BMG too, by the way. I'm just saying, but I get it if you don't want to ship that. That's okay.
We'll have to work out a deal on that.
Yeah, maybe have to work out a deal. Guys, Kahr Arms has a 50 that is, can I say this? It's almost recoilless, which is, guys, if you've ever fired a 50 caliber, those 50 cal and recoilless don't go in the same sentence together, but this thing is, Justin.
Yeah, it's the only 50 BMG bolt action which you can fire and still have sight picture because it feels like it's a .308 rifle. It's incredible.
Isn't that amazing? Wow, phenomenal stuff. All right, guys, let's get started here. There's a case out of Georgia. I want to talk about this first because this interests me. And I'm sure you guys will find this interesting too, but it popped up on Fox 5 in Atlanta, and then it looks like Fox National just picked it up. So let me go to that one. Carjacking victim arrested after allegedly shooting boy breaking into his car during Atlanta confrontation. So we have a guy here. I'll start with you, Ryan, down in Florida. This guy's name is Yoshe Carter. He's 51 years old. He was booked into the Fulton County Jail after confronting a burglar. Now, we live in a stand your ground state. You can protect property here if you are defending property from what will likely become a forcible felony. Now, I would suggest that if you're breaking into my house or if you're breaking into my car and I was an attempted carjacking victim, that would certainly meet that criteria. But this guy was arrested after allegedly shooting a boy who was breaking into his car. He was shot in the foot. He's under the age of 18. He had a gunshot wound to the foot. And police admitted that he was shot after breaking into the car. Ryan, just on the surface, shouldn't we have the right to defend any of our property? Any of our property?
Well, absolutely. I believe we do have a right. It's just that sometimes government doesn't recognize the right and gets in the way. Unfortunately, it sounds like that's the case in this case.
Fulton County.
Yes,
is that a giveaway?
Well, Fulton County is my first clue.
It might be a clue, right?
Well, look, you've got these Soros prosecutors probably embedded all over the country. I don't know if Fulton's one of them, but probably very likely. And or at least they lean that way or think that way, and they believe it's their job to determine what your rights are. And so this is a case where a prosecutor probably got involved because they don't believe or don't agree with state law and have decided to make this gentleman's life miserable. And to drag his good name through the mud and probably cost him a lot of money defending himself.
A ton of money. And I got to go back to that conversation that we had, Brad Premo. I was talking with one of the lawyers from Attorneys on Retainer about a case in Prescott, Arizona, and I don't know that we'll get back to that one, but good heavens, man, it incredibly costly to defend against stuff like this when you've got overzealous prosecutors, and we all know Fulton County and Fannie Willis and the losers in that city that will do whatever they can to thwart, pretty much anything that they politically disagree with. Brad, you were a cop, and I would argue this: if you're stealing my car after attempting to carjack me, you're messing with my livelihood because I need that car to support my family, to run my business. If you're breaking into my studio, you're breaking into my business. You are absolutely impacting my life, and I should have every right to defend it with deadly force. Period, Brad. Correct me if I'm wrong from a law enforcement standpoint.
Well, I mean, unfortunately, like most states don't allow you to use deadly force to protect your property. I don't think that is, I don't think that's correct. The way I see it, I'm going to tell you, like when I was on the job, like some of the most aggravating things people I dealt with were thieves. And it's because, when you think about it, we all exchange our time for money, right? Because you need money to live. And so when I exchange my time for money and I use that money to buy something that I need, like a car or whatever it is, and then someone comes along and vandalizes it or steals it, you've stolen my time. That's time out of my life. Time I spent away from my family, time I spent away from doing things that I enjoy, time, right? It's the one thing that we all have that we can't get more of, and it's the most valuable thing that we possess. And, some jerk comes along and takes it. And so when I see a thief, I see someone who is stealing somebody's life, not just a possession. And so in my mind, I have no problem with people wanting to defend their property with deadly force. I completely agree with it, and I understand it. Unfortunately, a lot of our laws don't support that because, some politicians in their wisdom have decided that, that we need to be nice to thieves and give them another chance. Well, throughout history, thieves have always been punished with death. So I don't know why I had to change.
When we come back, we'll go to Justin Moon, CEO of Kahr Arms, here on the Armed American Radio Network. The Monster Cast now well underway. So stick around with us. During the break, if you're watching on your devices or social media, I'm going to give you a great grilling while armed recipe. We'll be right back. All right, guys, I promised you I'd give you a great recipe. I kind of happened on this the other day. Greg, have you ever seen in the grocery stores, I don't know if they slice them up like they do, but I can go pick up very thinly sliced steaks, right? And they lay them out nice and flat, get about 20 of them in there. Costco does it. I forget what they call it, but Costco has them on a fairly regular basis. So I noticed at the local grocery store, we shop at a Publix here, they had pork chops, center cut, very thinly sliced. Guys, I'm talking about an eighth of an inch, maximum a quarter of an inch. Even that's too thick. But very thinly sliced center cut pork chops. Laid out, I get about 2 packs of them. I have about 20 of those things. What I do, guys, I'm going to send you to, you use whatever rub you want. Just make sure it's got sweetness in it, okay? And I use a Texas barbecue rub. We've been using it for years here. I searched years to find the best barbecue rub I could, made my own for God knows how long, and finally found Texas barbecue rub. And I hooked up with the great Bill Cannon, who won the Barbecue of the Year award many times. And the year I cooked with him at the Houston Rodeo, we took 4th in brisket out of 400-plus teams. So he knows what he's doing. But this rub is phenomenal. Anybody I've ever turned on to it has just sworn by it. The Meatloaf Recipe and Grilling While Armed. If you want to pick up the book, it's at Amazon, where we pair up, George Hill and I, the Mad Ogre, pair up a great firearm to wear on your hip while you're smoking up the neighborhood. And just so you know, the Glock 19 pairs up great with meatloaf because it's kind of like the meatloaf of guns, right? So George did a really good job pairing that up. But in this case, what I do is I take a little bit of Dale's, I'll put it in a tinfoil pan, and I'll lay those thin sliced pork pieces out, and I'll throw Dale's in there. Soak them up good about a half hour beforehand, and toss that Texas barbecue rub on it. And it's got some brown sugar in it, so what it does is it turns almost to a paste. Throw those directly over charcoal. I don't cook over gas, don't even know how to start a gas grill. And you only need to flip them a couple times. It's how simple it is. Take those things off, lay them out, let them rest for about 15 minutes or so. Now, if you have a Publix near you, if you live out in the Southeast, you got Publix grocery stores, so it might be hard for you to find the Cuban bread that they're famous for, which is crusty. But if you can just get a baguette, a French roll, something like that, slice them up into sub-size rolls. I throw mayo down on the bottom of both sides of that bun after I toast the buns, by the way, so you'll want to toast those buns. You can butter them or not. Get them nice and toasty on both sides. Throw some Hellmann's mayonnaise down on the bottom. Lay those porks out, pork slices real thin on top of that with some shredded lettuce, some finely shredded onion. We use the sweet onion here. Vidalia's when they're running, if not the Texas Sweets throughout the year. And some very thin sliced tomato. Slap that together. Oh, man. Oh. Dude, you could sell that on a street corner. Give it a shot if you get a chance. If we ever get the next book out, we'll probably have that recipe in there. But really, really simple to do. Really short time on the grill, which I kind of hate because I like to sit and relax and fire up my grill. But these things cook really, really quick. And it makes a sandwich like you've never had before. It's fantastic. You've probably maybe tried a variation of it yourself. But if you can, pick up the Texas Barbecue Rub, TexasBBQRub.com. And I believe I think he's still got, Greg, the AAR promo code still active over there. But I've got bags of that stuff. Get the original rub, the original or the Grand Champion, either two. Get 2 bags, one of each, and check that rub out. Stuff is phenomenal. You'll enjoy it. We'll be right back with you guys.
Rifle Association. Help us defend freedom by visiting nra.org/AAR and join today. Welcome back to the show.
Yeah, welcome back to the show. Mark Walters filling your prescription for freedom on hundreds of radio stations across the nation. We are in a classic Armed American Radio Roundtable with Ryan Petty, Parkland Father Ryan Petty, combat veteran, former law enforcement officer Brad Premo, the founder of Leadslinger's Whiskey. And, of course, we're in the Kahr Firearms Group studios with you here in front of the CZ mic, all brought to you by the National Rifle Association. Please join or rejoin the National Rifle Association. We really need you in the pool with us, guys. The water's warm. NRA.org/AAR. Join us, please. $35 a year. Get a free range bag out of the deal. Or the binoculars. 1 to 3 years, range bag is free. 5 years, life, you get the binoculars. Cool, free stuff, and you're in the fight with us. Please help us. And that's $10 off, by the way, on each of those, just for signing up with AAR. We need your support. Help us, please. NRA.org/AAR. And you can find all of our great partners at ArmedAmericanRadio.com. Justin Moon, CEO of Kahr Arms. Justin, isn't taking my property messing with my livelihood? And shouldn't we be able to, forget what some of the state's laws are, shouldn't we all be able to defend ourselves with a firearm when someone is trying to take what we own that impacts our lives? And what to go with what Brad said in the previous segment, there ain't nothing lower than a thief in my estimation, Justin. I would just like your thoughts on that.
Well, Mark, you're absolutely right. I mean, our property is the means by which we make a living. We need a car to get to work. I mean, if somebody's stealing our car or something like that, we're losing our ability to work and generate the funds needed to sustain our lives. So it is basically like killing us. So I certainly do believe that we should have the right to defend our property with lethal force if somebody is threatening to take something which is important to for our livelihood.
I absolutely 100% agree. And as far as I'm concerned, anything that I own that you're trying to take from me, I should be able to use deadly force to defend against. Now, obviously, Ryan, you get into the weeds on this, okay? Shooting a fleeing felon, okay? That's always a no-no. You're going to wind up going to the slammer for that. I'm not advocating that at all, although there's nothing lower than a life form as far as I'm concerned than a thief, especially if they got an arm full of my stuff in them. But, guys, if you want to start chasing people down and shoot that, then you got a problem on your hands, okay? And in many cases, you likely should. But, Ryan, I think you agree. I'll just leave it at that, right? You agree?
Yeah, I mean, look, Brad said it very well. At some point in history, we got away from having real consequences for stealing other people's stuff. And again, to Brad's point, this is about my time and my productive labor. I go out and work. I buy the things that I need for myself and for my family, for my business. And you come along and take that away from me. You're stealing my time. That should come with a severe penalty. And until we get back to that, I'm afraid, Mark, we're going to continue to have to walk into convenience stores with locked cabinets where you can't access, the simple things like cold and flu medicine or bottles of water or whatever else it is we've got to lock up now to keep these
weed eaters,
sticky hands away from our stuff.
Weed eaters. I live in a really conservative county. In fact, the town that I live in is listed for the last 6 years the safest city in the state of Georgia. And our Home Depot's got weed eaters still locked up, Brad Premo. Weed eaters.
Yeah. I mean, and the funny thing is the people who would steal a weed eater probably aren't the type that would use a weed eater, but I mean, it is, if you can go into, drugstores or whatever, and simple things like, razors and stuff like that are locked up behind glass. You go to Walmart in some places, and they got video cameras on the detergent aisles because people are stealing laundry. It's insane, the amount of thievery that we've just been kind of told we have to accept. And we talk about this week in and week out, that we start looking at all these behaviors, antisocial behaviors that, are aggravating, and you start realizing how much they cost all of us. And then the real enraging part is that we're tolerating all this we're living with this by choice. It's a choice that's been made for us that we have to live this way. We have to live amongst these people who behave this way, and that we're somehow the bad guys for wanting to stop it or change it. And that's not how it has to be. And I think finally enough people are starting to wake up to say, hey, look, if you're going to live this way, like, we don't have to tolerate you. We got places we can put you, and that's what we need to start doing.
Yeah, I could be dying of flu symptoms, and I can't buy Sudafed because it's locked up behind the counter because of a bunch of loser tweakers. Okay? And Justin, apparently now, I'm not going to be able to buy a Glock because China's making Glock switches, and let's get into the weeds on this one, Justin. As a CEO of Kahr Arms, we've had this discussion. Let's make this a frank conversation here. I've made it clear before that, the knee-jerk reaction in me, Justin, says just have the firearm industry just pull out of California altogether. Let them feel the pain, okay? Enough of the nonsense coming from the legislators up there and from Gavin Newsom and all the garbage hate that we get. It would be wonderful to see that. Now, that's the knee-jerk reaction in me. I get it. I know that's not going to happen, and I know why, and you've explained it here why as well. But now, Justin, Glock has made a move to completely redesign all but 3 guns, the 43X, the 48X, and I believe the 43, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not looking at it, but it's one of those 3. It's the 43, 43X, and the 48X. The rest of them are all being redesigned with the V model or 5, however, we don't know, whatever you want to call it. Justin, the timing of this is very suspect because, as you know, Gavin Newsom just signed HB 1127 out there outlawing Glocks as machine pistols. Where do you stand as a CEO of Kahr Arms on that? How do you see this playing out? And any insight as to why they did it?
Well, the Glock switches are there's a lot of Glock switches out there, and I guess the company's under a lot of pressure from governments because, the Glock switches are already illegal, and the people selling them are doing an illegal act. And so, And there's just so many of them that the government really is not going after the people who are actually selling the switches or importing them from China. So the only company that they can go after easily is Glock. So Glock's getting sued by everybody. What, 18 states now? So,
Yeah.
I understand the pressure Glock's under, and so I guess they're redesigning their guns so the switches, the old switches won't work in the new guns.
Yeah, and as we heard in the previous couple segments, I'll close out the segment with this, Justin. I want to come back to you on this before I flip it over to Ryan. But Glock controls, from what I heard in the previous segment, and I'm not positive of this number, but it would make sense, about 40% of the civilian handgun market. And a lot of law enforcement. And there's millions and millions and millions of Glock models out there that aren't going anywhere. So when we come back, we'll continue the conversation with Justin Moon, CEO of Kahr Arms. It is a fascinating conversation. There's a lot involved here. A lot of people think they cave to the gun grabbers. Glock is not saying that. Glock changes. We've got Gen 1, Gen 2, Gen 3, Gen 4, Gen 5. They change their models, pun intended, every generation. Is it just the suspect timing here? Will we ever hear from them on it? Should we? Does it matter? We'll be right back. Don't go away. Live, cameras up.
They'd love that sausage.
Yeah, they would have. I'll maybe talk about it during the next break. Of course, I need to put a package deal together with them first, which actually would be a pretty good idea.
Yes.
Yeah, it really would. Great product.
Hi, I'm Dr. Sebastian Gorka, letting you know that the Desperado Sport Fishing Crew in Virginia Beach, Virginia supports Armed American Radio and our right to bear arms. Now, back to Mark Walters.
Sebastian Gorka, we love that rejoin. Now, back to Mark Walters. Just love Dr. Gorka. He's the real deal, ladies and gentlemen. We need to try to get him back on the show, Greg. He's a little bit busy, though, working up in government, you know. I get that. But it would be fun. It would be a lot of fun. Guys, welcome back inside the Kahr Firearms Group studios with me. Mark Walters, filling your prescription for freedom. We're on the downside now of the third hour of the program, and if you're just joining us, welcome in from anywhere in the country. We appreciate it. If you're one of the 21,000 that have hit us on Twitter tonight, we really do appreciate that. The numbers keep going up, just shy of 5,000 continuous viewers, and that number is continuing to grow. So thank you very much for being here. Please like us on social media. Follow us on Twitter at AAR Mark. Make sure to subscribe to us over on YouTube if you're watching there, Rumble, and help us take our social media back. It was a long, hard fight over the Biden years. They just did not like what we talked about politically, and all of that is opening up now, including Facebook. Help us get back up to the 100,000 and beyond. We appreciate it. And all of our partners, make sure to view all of them. You can find them all at armedamericanradio.com. I'm holding up a thing of Barrel Buddies here. This is the only way to clean your guns. BarrelBuddy.com, $14.98 for this bag of 50. You can clean your guns right on the range, put them right back in your holster, right back in your bag. No mess, pitch the patch. It's patented technology. It works. You'll never again have that stink and somebody yelling, that stuff smells, even though you might like the smell of it. BarrelBuddy.com. Promo code is AAR. And not only do you get a discount by using that, you can also become an affiliate and make money by hooking up your friends. So it's a win-win all the way around. Make sure to check them out. And Patriots Relief, patriotsrelief.com. I use that stuff every single day. It works wonders every single morning when I get up because my shoulder hurts. Always has. I don't want surgery on it. And Patriots Relief has the products that work for me. So make sure to check it out. If it works for me, it's likely going to work for you too. Let's go back to Justin Moon, CEO of Kahr Arms. We're in the Kahr Firearms Group studios. Justin, back on this Glock thing quickly. I was really looking forward to getting your opinion on this because as a CEO of a company that manufactures firearms, you get this better than anybody here seated at the table. But you've got a lot of hate coming, Justin. You knew it was coming, right? You knew it was coming because you can't please everybody, brother. You just can't. Did Glock cave? Did they cave?
Yeah, I mean, I hate to get into Glock psychology and what they're doing because, you know, I don't want to speak for them. I'm sure they have their own reasons for doing what they are doing, and I'm not in their shoes, so I you know, it's one of those things. You would hope that you could run your company without interference from you know, society in general, but you know, these anti-gun lawyers are I'm sure are really going after the company pretty hard, and so, you know, we want Glock to be successful. We want them to survive. You know, the American public loves their products, so I don't want to weigh too much into their officers' decision making. Honestly,
no, and it honestly, you know, if you're one of those out there that's hating on Glock, okay, that's your prerogative. I'm not hating on him, and I think this is interesting, Ryan Petty. I had put a Facebook post out that got thousands of views, and I was asking for people to give me your comments on this. I want to read some of this stuff on the air, and I did. I read a number of them on the air. One of the questions that came into me, Ryan, was, Mark, would you exchange your Glock for one of the new models? And my response was immediate. No, never. I have lots of guns. I have several Kahrs. I have several Glocks. I have SIGs. I have Smith & Wessons. I have Rugers. I have all kinds of guns. I'm not going to exchange that model for a new one. I'm just going to buy the new one and add it to the stable. Why would I exchange it? But I'd like your thoughts. You know, how do you come down on Glock from a business decision standpoint? It's hard to come down on him for that when you hear what Justin was just saying. 18 states, anti-gunners, and hard-hitting lawyers coming at you. This is going to cost millions and millions of dollars to defend against, and Glock will survive it. But nonetheless, smart business decision?
Yeah, look, you know, like Justin said, I can't get in their heads. You know, I don't know exactly what's going on behind the scenes. My guess is, after years of having to do this in the technology industry, that they're, you know, working to protect their interests and going forward, and would rather not spend money on lawsuits when they could spend money on, you know, sales and marketing and the other stuff that Glock spends money on. Look, they're being forced, whether you call this the next generation of Glocks, or this is done because of, you know, in the spirit of true product evolution, or this is something the lawyers are forcing on them. They're being forced to spend some money on next generation products, and we'll see what comes out of it. I certainly can't blame them or fault them.
And that's nothing new. They've done that for generations. They've done that.
Sure. You look, everybody's adapted their designs. Glock's not the only one that's done this in the past. There's a long list of manufacturers that have you know, have modified their designs to make them either more reliable or less easy to you know, to not disassemble, but to put third-party parts on. This is all kinds of stuff that is normal. Look. At the end of the day, I'm with you. I'm not getting rid of any of my old Glocks, but I'm certainly interested in seeing what this new, I don't know, is it Gen 5, Gen V, whatever it is. I'm certainly interested in seeing what it looks like, and I'll probably buy a few.
Let me tell you what it's going to look like, Brad Premo. It's going to look just like every other Glock out there, okay? It's going to be an internal change there. I don't even want to comment on it yet because I've seen some... I can't really call them specifications or anything like that because it didn't come from Glock, so I'm just going to let that slide. However, the absolutist in me on this program, Brad, as you know, I think we've talked about it together before on this show, was don't ever cave in because because criminals are doing something. However, Brad, if I'm sitting in that boardroom, all right, and I've got hundreds of millions of dollars on the line, I've got decisions I've got to make, and they might not be easy, Brad.
Right. I mean, this isn't the first time that we've, you know, seen something like this where, you know, there's modifications made to a firearm to keep other, you know, I guess, illicit modifications being made. I mean, if you think about it, there was a time when pretty much every bolt carrier you got for an AR-15 had the bottom cut so it couldn't be used in a full auto M16. Or if you were to convert an AR-15, the lower receivers were milled differently, so you couldn't take an auto sear. You know, and no one complained about that because the rifle still functioned exactly how you wanted it to function, how it was intended. You know, the one thing, you know, with Glock doing this, like my hope is, and it's kind of with you, is like they need to understand. I hope they don't think that they're appeasing the left by doing this because you can never appease these people. Right. And frankly, I wouldn't be surprised if they don't take it as a tacit admission that their products were inherently dangerous and made to be full auto in the first place, because otherwise, why would you change it? You know, so don't think you're making peace with these people. Do it because, you know, you think it's the right thing for the company and will, you know, protect the company going forward and protect your profitability and, you know, able to keep going as one of the, you know, one of the top manufacturers of firearms. But don't think that you're making friends with the left because they will absolutely slit Glock's throat to get a chance.
Yeah, and I think Glock is smart enough to understand that. And look, guys, here's the bottom line. I'll close out with this as we get ready to go to a break. I'll say this. Glock has always been very good at holding things close to their vest. They've made a statement. If you want to see it, it's on their website. Okay, go visit it and check it out. And that's likely all we're going to hear from Glock about the deal. Period. This was not a decision that was made overnight. It was a strategic decision, retooling. Hey, Justin, real quick, when you make a decision to redo all of your handguns, that decision doesn't happen in 24 hours, does it?
No, it certainly does not. That's a big decision. The only thing I'd like to add, Mark, is that the Glock switches do not work on the Kahr pistols, and the Kahr pistols are available for sale. So
there you go. There you go. There's the plug right there. You're absolutely correct about that. And I got to tell you, I'll take us to the break with this. The X9 I have, guys, if you have never squeezed the trigger on a Kahr trigger system, boy, you are really missing out. It's like butter. These things are phenomenal. Make sure to check out the X9. When I saw it at the I think it was the NRA convention a year ago before SHOT Show. Yeah, or maybe it was the other way around. I don't lose track of time. But when I saw it, I knew I had to have it, and you will too. Like I said, I'm having to fight my son. He keeps wanting to put it in his holster, and I'm having to say, no, that one's riding with Dad. and I'm paying the bill. So give it back, kiddo. When we come back, one more segment to go. Wait till you hear this story. This is going to blow your mind, and it's out of Baltimore, too. There's a shocker. Flew right by. Greg wants to start his vacation. He's all over that Zoom switch there, guys.
No, Greg's hungry. Can't wait to get home and eat some leftovers.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. Those pork sandwiches I was talking about.
Yeah.
That's all I ate for 2.5 days.
I had a roast.
In the morning I took 2 of the slices that were left over and cooked them up with a couple eggs over medium. Whew. But then made, again for lunch. And I'm on that medication, so I don't eat a lot. But the only thing I ate as far as meals was late afternoon, I guess you call it lunch or dinner, whatever you want to call it. I had another one of those sandwiches and then had the eggs the next morning. Then I had another sandwich later in the day. And then they were so good that I had to make them for my kids when they were here. I said, we got to do it again. So I did them again, and everybody ate them up, and they were good.
I cooked the whole roast in the Instapot yesterday, and that became tacos last night.
Instapot, is that slang for a crock pot?
No, it's a pressure cooker.
I don't have one of those.
Yeah, look up Instapot. You can cook roast like super quick in an Instapot. A lot of other things as well. It's like an air fryer type device where it's advanced technology.
Yeah, those things have always scared me. I don't get them. I don't know how they work. Hey, I'll be right back with you. Hold on. I'm going to go get a Knob Creek. I'll be right back.
Yep.
Keep that handy for the end of the show. Guys are going to be joining Cam Edwards tomorrow on Cam and Company. Make sure to tune into that. That'll be a lot of fun. I have no idea where Cam wants to go. I don't really care. Wherever we go is always fun. You'll be able to watch that on bearingarms.com or townhall.com. And the Epoch Times had a reporter and a photographer out here a week ago Saturday, about 8 days ago, I guess. And I just found out from the reporter that the piece has been submitted. So I'll let you know where that's going to appear. I don't know if it's going to appear in the print edition or just the online edition. Either way is cool. But they wrote up a really good, I'm sure it's going to be good because I know the writer, Michael's a very good guy, but they wrote up about my lawsuit against OpenAI, my loss 2 years into that battle with ChatGPT when I sued them for making up all kinds of bullshit about me, which it did. Accused me of stealing millions of dollars from the Second Amendment Foundation, which was all fake court documents, the whole 9 yards. And I lost after 2 years in court. Can you believe that? It got away with it. But you'll want to read that. I'll let you know this week when it prints.
Back in 10.
All right. Here we go. Wrap it up. Knob Creek. That stuff's 100 proof. No rookie here.
This segment is brought to you by Attorneys on Retainer. Get the only self-defense program for gun owners backed by a real law firm, the Attorneys for Freedom. Visit them online at attorneysonretainer.us. Welcome back.
Yeah, guys, that's the real deal, attorneysonretainer.us. If you missed the first hour of the program, we'll have the podcast up for you. We covered a fascinating case where an individual was charged with multiple felonies. He did not have attorneys on retainer. He went to them after the fact because he knew he needed to. After losing his house, the conversation was unbelievable out of Prescott, Arizona. You can watch it all. The police body cam footage of his takedown, I'm just overzealous. Felony stop. I mean, he's lucky to be alive, this kid Matthew is, quite frankly. But make sure to watch that case. You can see it all. They've got it all up there at Attorneys on Retainer, and they did their jobs. And guess what? All charges were dropped. He's got his life back. But he's lost his house. He had to leave Arizona. It's cost him thousands, tens and tens and tens of thousands of dollars to get out. And honestly, guys, it's not necessary. AttorneysOnRetainer.us. He was not a member. $35 a month, and that's all it would have cost. Okay? If you carry a gun for self-defense, I hope you're paying attention to this. Very, very important that you have this card in your wallet. AttorneysOnRetainer.us. Use the promo code AAR, and you'll save $50 off the sign-up over there. Again, AttorneysOnRetainer.us. Use the promo code AAR, and you can find all of our great partners, including the National Rifle Association, Kahr Arms, Crossbreed Holsters. They're all there. Barrel Buddy, Bud's Gun Shop, Centerfire Digital. If you want to do business with a company, if you need web work done, they work with conservatives. They don't even like to work with the other side. They want to work with you. So if you need any of that work done, app work done, any of that, make sure to check out Centerfire Digital. And again, all of our great partners, Barrel Buddy, the rest, they can all be found at armedamericanradio.com. All right, guys, who did I leave off with last? Greg, do you recall?
I do not. Brad.
All right. Oh, we left off with Brad, I think? Okay. Let's take this next story here. AWR was unable to make it with us tonight. He's traveling, and we had a full lineup, so we gave him and Alan Gottlieb the day off. Both of those gentlemen will be back next week. Superintendent defends detection system that misidentified bag of chips for a gun. Justin, I'm going to take it to you. Superintendent Dr. Miriam Rogers defended Baltimore County's AI detection system after it misidentified a bag of chips for a gun, resulting in a 16-year-old being ordered to the ground at gunpoint. He ate a bag of Doritos, then stuffed the empty bag into his pocket. In 20 minutes, the cops arrived on scene in response to a warning sent by the school's AI detection system. Police showed up like 8 cop cars, and then they all came out with guns, pointed at me, talking about getting on the ground. I was putting my hands up like, what's going on? He told me to get on my knees and arrested me and put me in cuffs. Justin, how much is too much?
Oh, that's pretty wild that the schools are using AI to try to find concealed weapons. Wow, I didn't know that. That's new to me.
It was new to me, too. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's kind of like out of a sci-fi movie. The kind of that's a violation of the Fourth Amendment, isn't it? Unwarranted search and seizure?
Well, you know, I'm not a lawyer, and I don't know how they're justifying this. It is Baltimore, right? I have no idea. Everybody at this table is very well aware of what ChatGPT said about me, resulting in my lawsuit against the company OpenAI back in June of 2023. And after a 2-year legal battle, I lost that fight, even though they couldn't defend what it said about me when it lied and claimed that I had stolen in a fake document $5 million from the Second Amendment Foundation. I sued, and 2 years later, I lost, and it got away with it. You know, so I'm going to guess, Justin, that while it seems like that, yes, in today's day and age, man, this is frightening stuff, bro. This is a 16-year-old kid. When you've got guns pointed at you, Justin, you can be shot if you don't comply.
You're certainly right. He could have been killed for having a bag of chips in his pocket.
And
that's
then
pretty.
Right, it is frightening. And then what, Ryan? Then what? Somebody says they're sorry? Somebody's son is dead? This kid's lost his life? I mean, look, I know he didn't. But imagine the trauma this kid he's going to take this with him, Ryan, for the rest of his life, brother.
Yeah, look, this is something we've got to get right. And well, I'm certainly in the technology space, and I spend quite a bit of time thinking about school safety and protecting schools. And I'm actually very familiar with the company that whose technology was at fault here. There are alternatives. I don't want to get into names and naming companies and things like that, but there are alternatives to the technology that was used that actually use human beings to vet these things, right? The idea behind this is not to let AI make these determinations and call the cavalry in.
Right.
A better use of this technology is like many people use ChatGPT, right? You're going to write an email to your boss, or you've got to put a proposal together, or you need help getting started writing something. You ask ChatGPT to sort of get it started for you, and then you as the human being need to take over and control the show. And there are systems out there that look for weapons, both concealed and otherwise, but hand that off to a human being that can make that determination before you send the police in guns a-blazing, particularly with a kid, at school. As much as I am supportive of trying everything we can to protect our nation's schools, we've got to use some common sense, and just allowing AI to run wild is a recipe for disaster.
Yeah, one of my lawyers used it in court. They've unleashed this robot on the world with no guardrails. Brad Premo, former law enforcement, take a listen to what Superintendent Rogers said defending the system. And I quote, "The program is based on human verification. In this case, the program did what it was supposed to do, which was to signal an alert." Keep in mind, ladies and gentlemen, a Doritos bag. And for humans to take a look to find out if there was cause for concern in that moment. This is after the kid is proned out, Brad, with firearms pointed at him. It would seem to me that it didn't do what it was supposed to do. Am I wrong here?
Well, it sounds to me like they need to revamp their SOPs for the possibility of false positives, right? I mean, the system's never going to be infallible. There's always going to be false positives, and it's going to miss some. But the fact of the matter is, if the student was not behaving in a threatening manner or brandishing the firearm, there's not really a reason to come at him guns drawn and prone him out. I've several times I remember going to calls where, hey, armed individual, there's maybe a crowd of people around. It's not necessarily a threatening situation, but somebody thinks they saw someone holding a gun, or they knew somebody had a gun on them, whatever it was. If you have a crowd of people, that's not really the best time to come in guns up, scaring everybody, possibly starting a gunfight when you don't have to. Relocate the individual. Somebody takes positive control, not necessarily put them down on the ground. You just kind of walk up to them and just sort of put your hand down around their waist where their hands are at, and be like, hey, I need you to come with me for a minute. Mm-hmm. And you just gently escort them out of the area, and then you can pat them down, do whatever you got to do. It's the least threatening, least aggressive way you can handle that situation. Not knowing the rest of the details here, it just sounds like they don't have a good policy in place for how to handle these situations, and probably the worst case scenario will happen.
Yeah, I can hear that call now. Tango 7, I'm 1020. It's a bag of Doritos. Over. I mean, come on. Yep. Come on, guys. Justin Moon, CEO of Kahr Firearms Group, man, we love you. You are a fan favorite for a reason. Thank you, Justin, for being here every week and giving us your time. Always fun to have you here. Ryan Petty, Parkland Father, we love you, man. Thank you for being here and giving us your time every week. And, of course, Brad Premo, the same goes to you, brother. Hey, folks, guess what? We're going to get up and do it again tomorrow, 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific on Armed American Radio's Daily Defense, precisely because they don't want us to. That's why we enjoy doing it every single day, 17 years in now. Please support our partners that make it all possible. ArmedAmericanRadio.com. Get you an attorney. Join the National Rifle Association. The promo code is AAR. Enjoy your day. Stay safe. See you on the radio tomorrow.
You just filled your prescription for freedom with Mark Walters, presented by the National Rifle Association. The National Rifle Association on the Armed American Radio Network.
All right, guys, thank you for being here. I appreciate it very much. We'll have the podcast up for you, say about a half hour, if you missed any of the previous hours. Justin Davis, National Rifle Association, Director of Public Affairs, and Joey Hamby from Attorneys on Retainer. That case in Scottsdale and Prescott, Arizona is amazing. So make sure to go visit. Check them out at Attorneys on Retainer. You can watch all the video. Drinking these carbonated beverages is always a bad thing to do on air. But you can watch the videos that he was talking about that later came to surface. You can watch the body cam footage of this just ridiculous takedown of this guy. He's lucky to be alive. And fortunately, he prevailed. And, of course, with Jared Yanis from Guns and Gadgets, another phenomenal hour of a roundtable. Hope you enjoyed the program as much as we enjoyed bringing it to you. Thank you for being here. Please support all of our partners. Join the NRA. Get yourself an attorney. buy a crossbreed holster, pick up a Kahr Arms, do it all. We couldn't do it without them. Enjoy your day. Stay safe, guys. We'll see each and every one of you on the radio tomorrow. Thanks for being here.